in business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The NFL's legal tampering period started off with a bang. The Falcons finally solved their quarterback issues. They have a deal with Kirk Cousins. 4 years, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed. He joins an offense that has several first-round draft picks. ESPN NFL analyst Louis Riddick.
He's already been in this type of system. He can wind up being another coach on the football field for Bijan, for Drake, for Kyle. So now they're a step ahead now with Raheem Morris in terms of taking over this football team. And I think right now this catapults them right away into a contender position in the South. And that's exactly what they want. They want to hit the ground running. You don't want to start with a young quarterback here.
Running back Saquon Barkley staying in the NFC East, but moving to Philadelphia. 3 years, $37 million. Eagles also signing defensive end Bryce Huff, 3 years, $51 million. And left guard Landon Dickerson, 4 years, $87 million. Running back Josh Jacobs agreed with the Packers, who have told Aaron Jones that they are releasing him. Raiders agree with defensive tackle Christian Wilkins, 4 years, $110 million, $85 million guaranteed. And receiver Gabe Davis, 3 years, $39 million from Jacksonville.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Cannon. Coming up Tuesday, legal tampering is here. I'll tell you which moves will have the biggest impact on next season. It's Unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt. Hey, shut up, kid. Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
Muso. And Mr. Toby Tumplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. What a giant weekend. The NFL tampering period has begun. The Saints are already engaged. LSU football lands a commitment. The basketball team wins. The baseball team takes 2 out of 3. We got a ton to do. Don't you move. Let us begin as we do every single day. There's a lot of talking.
It's time to pop the top.
Words.
On another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Okay, we got a ton to do today, but it almost feels like I'd be missing the mark if I didn't talk about the story that has local ties that everyone's talking about nationally, and that's the brawl between LSU and South Carolina. Look, there have been a lot of famous or infamous sports brawls throughout the years. There was the Malice at the Palace, of course, none more famous or infamous than that. There was 2003 Yankees Red Sox when that coward Pedro threw a 72-year-old man on the ground. There was 06 Miami FIU. Remember that? Benches cleared, yet players literally cleats stomping on other players. 18 Miami football players were suspended. There have been look, there's more hockey brawls than we could even mention. Anyway, there's been tons. And if you heard people talk about what happened with LSU and South Carolina, you'd believe that this elevated to that. When in all actuality, this feels like the most stated nothing like ever. How in the world did this escalate to the point that it did on Sunday there in Greenville? I mean, if you didn't see it, what it amounted to was a shove and then another girl shoulder checked Flaugier. That was kind of it. That was kind of it. There weren't punches. You didn't have like grappling on the ground. People engaged didn't have to be pulled off of each other. Flaugier had the ball. She got pickpocketed. She very smartly grabbed a hold of the South Carolina player so as not to give up the fast break layup in transition, the uncontested layup. So the whistle blows. A South Carolina player gets in Flaugier's face, and Flaugier shoves her. And then Cardoza from South Carolina comes and like shoulder checks Flaugier and knocks her to the ground. Can you just get this screen grab, Paulie? Look at the referee right here, just walking. Can you see this? Like in the foreground, she's just walking away as if to say, like, no, you need to go get in there and stop it. She's walking away. I mean, you had Flaugier's brother jumping out of the stands. I mean, you had the benches clearing. You finished 5-on-5. Cardoza's probably suspended for the NCAA tournament opener. Not it's going to matter because whoever South Carolina plays will beat by a bajillion anyway. I mean, it was like a 15-minute delay while they went back and looked at all the film and who left the bench area and who was fighting. And ultimately, there was only one girl that got DQ'd for fighting, and it was Cardoza who shoulder checked Flaugier. That was it. It felt like this gigantic ordeal over something that should have been a nothing. Like, Flaugier got knocked down, should have got up. There could have been words. Boom, tee up Cardoza, throw her out, and get on with the game. Anyway, I'm disappointed that LSU lost the game. I thought, especially considering you all by now know last year there was a scary thing on Saturday night. She went down and banged her head on the floor. She spent the night in the hospital, concussion protocol. Thankfully, it's nothing. She was stretchered off. Thankfully, it's not more serious. Angel Reese keeps showing up at the arena every day in a walking boot. She's basically in a walking boot when she's not on the floor. So there's a lot going on with this team right now. They're playing their best basketball, but they're certainly shorthanded. And to push South Carolina the way they did was great. And, after the game, Angel Reese, I think said it best when she said this.
We're not scared of South Carolina, and I'm going to repeat that. We're not scared of South Carolina. And a lot of people are scared of them, and we came in and battled to the end. And, of course, we came up short, but we'll see them again.
So if they see them again, it'll be in the Final Four. And that's the mountain that Kim Mulkey hasn't been able to climb yet, the hurdle she hasn't been able to clear. In 3 years at LSU, she hadn't beaten South Carolina. So if she gets another opportunity, it'll be in the Final Four, be it either in the national semifinal or in the championship game if they do, in fact, cross paths again. But the thing that was most, encouraging to me, all the fight stuff notwithstanding, I know that's what everybody's going to talk about right now because it's salacious and Flaugier's brother got arrested. By the way, did you see the police officer? So if you go watch the video of Flaugier's brother like jumping out of the stands and leaping the scores table, there's a police officer right behind him, like full uniform that clears the scores table too. I mean, good on that dude. I mean, clearly Flaugier's brother wasn't a threat to anybody, but I mean, you can't go run on the floor. But dude was ready. I mean, the officer who was ready to act, and there was no wasted time or wasted movement. Check that video out if you haven't seen it yet. But the LSU losing the game is disappointing. But if you ask me, would I rather them get one on South Carolina in the SEC tournament or in the Final Four? Of course, I'd rather in the Final Four. And the thing that was, I guess, listening to the postgame with Kim Mulkey, and she talked about it. Look, the comments that are gaining the most attention is where she said she was Cardoza would have gone after Angel Reese or someone her size instead of Flaugier. Whatever. It felt like a giant nothing. Anyway, it felt like much ado about nothing, honestly. But after the game, Kim Mulkey was asked, about her team now getting a few days off. having played 3 games in 3 days. You lost Poa. Angel Reese has been hurt, especially now. You lost Samaya Smith earlier this year for the season. Kateri Poole, we know, was dismissed from the team. So you're super shorthanded. You're injured. You're playing South Carolina. Now you get a few days. This from Kim Mulkey, I thought, probably said it best.
I said, let's start playing tomorrow. I love where we are. We're not going to see South Carolina again unless we meet up in the Final Four. So I feel like we'll get a good seed. We'll host the first and second rounds, and I feel great.
Win 2 games at home. Go to the Sweet 16. See if you get good matchups. Win a couple games, and you're back in the Final Four, and you see how where the chips may fall. Kim Mulkey has made a career having success in this tournament, getting her teams ready to play in and win the NCAA tournament. And if you're Kim Mulkey and if you're LSU, you got to like where you are, even in spite of what happened on Sunday there in Greenville. All right, our show Open Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy in Louisiana with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of the champs. Hey, you can still find them. I was at Rouse's on Airline at Long Farm over the weekend. They still had some of the cases of the women's basketball national championship bottles. It's a collector bottle. Once they're gone, they're gone. So it's a limited edition. Check it out. You can find them. Buy 2, buy 1 to drink and then 1 just to keep forever. The official LSU women's basketball national championship bottle. First ever Bud Light bottle that's been a women's basketball bottle. So check it out. Make sure you grab plenty of ice cold Bud Light when you're watching March Madness this year. Drink easy with the great taste of the Tigers, the champs, and the official beer of AFR, Bud Light. Okay, it's after further review, y'all. The NFL legal tampering period is open, and we've already seen some pretty significant decisions in the NFC South. Baker Mayfield's going back to Tampa. Kirk Cousins is an Atlanta Falcon. We'll talk about it with Greg Auman, who covers the NFC South for ESPN.com, next.
AFR.
Had a great meeting this morning with Chuck and the gang over at Action Industries. Was there at their Highway 30 office in Geismar. And we've told you so much about the great work that Action Industries has done in the plants, the petrochemical and refineries up and down the river now for these past couple of months. And, of course, Action Industries has been in business since 1982. We've been talking about them for a couple of months. But something I got to stress as well is their fabrication shop services. If it's pipe, structural steel, pressure vessels, not everyone does that. Action Industries does, and they do it better than anyone. They fabricate, by the way, their pipe fabrication. They fabricate in separate shops their alloy and their carbon steel. The 2 sections are segregated. So if you don't work at a plant, that doesn't matter to you. But if you do, you know why that's important. And Action Industries make sure they do that. They're a SME certified vessel manufacturer. So check them out. It's Action Industries. Online, Facebook or Instagram, or LinkedIn, Action Industries.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want it. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
The best. You got to trust your instinct and let go of regret.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, Windows, Doors, Siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Well, happy 311 Day. 311 Day also coincides with the beginning of the legal tampering period in the NFL. And the biggest news, I think it's fair to say the biggest news so far, is Kirk Cousins is heading out of Minnesota and into the NFC South. He will be the new quarterback of the Atlanta Falcons. Greg Auman covers the NFC South for Fox Sports. He's on Twitter at Greg Auman, Auman, if you want to give him a follow. Busy day, but he's good enough to give us a couple of minutes. Greg, thanks for the time. How are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on.
It's always our pleasure, and we appreciate you for making time. Let me start with the Kirk Cousins news to Atlanta. Reaction?
Impressed they got him. Impressed how much he got. I think it's a good indication of how big a drop-off there was, kind of a shelf between Cousins and the rest of the free agent options. You know, once Mayfield got done in Tampa, once Russell Wilson lined up with Pittsburgh, you didn't really have a whole lot. I mean, it's probably Justin Fields, I guess, is your next option. You don't really know what you're giving up there. So there's just that real threat that if they didn't get Cousins, they have another off season where they're just unimpressive at quarterback. I think they probably could have traded up from 8 to try and get one of the rookies, but that also would have cost a lot. So probably overpaid a little bit, but this is a big get for them. I mean, this takes an offense. Falcons had exactly 17 touchdown passes in each of the last 2 seasons, won a game. Kirk Cousins, 25 touchdowns or more, I think his last 8 straight healthy seasons. You have to hope he's healthy. You have to hope he doesn't act his age at 36 years old. But basically the biggest thing they could go after at the position. So you give him credit for swinging big.
Is Atlanta the best team in the NFC South now?
I think it's right there. It's a really close call right now. It's like I don't know how the Bucs will close out in terms of whether they can add anything or that kind of thing. I would think it's those two probably will be seen almost as co-favorites, if you will. Maybe a slight edge to Atlanta. New Orleans, I feel like so far everything they've done has been more attrition and subtraction. But I mean, if they can make some moves and shore things up, they tied for the best record in the division, so they're not going to be far behind.
Yeah. We'll get to the Saints here in a smidge, but you spent a long time covering Tampa as well. What's the thought on giving the Baker the 3-year $100 million deal?
Yeah, again, it's a lot for somebody that you could get for $4 million a year ago. But to his credit, kind of took hold of things here. Not an easy situation last year, stepping in for Brady. Did enough to lead them to a division title. It's on paper, it's basically a 2-year, $60 million deal. I think he has 2 years to try and make the case for why they should keep him on a $40 million non-guaranteed salary in 26. So no, I mean, it's one of those where it comes in a little less than the Carr deal, certainly less than the Cousins deal, but a lot of money for somebody who, again, was on 3 teams in 2022. And, if he plays like he did this season, whatever it was, 28 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, if he gets that on a regular basis, that's good value for what they just paid him for. quarterbacks don't really have a middle class financially in the NFL. It's kind of that top tier, $40 million plus that Cousins just walked into. And then there's rookie contracts, and there's not a whole lot in between. So to get anything in that middle ground is almost a win for Tampa.
Greg Auman's with us here. Fox Sports covers the NFC South on Twitter at Greg Auman. They've already signed Mike Evans down in Tampa, Baker as well. What else is on the board potentially for the Bucs?
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what else they do. They really had to use a lot of their resources to keep Evans and Winfield and Mayfield. Those are the three big ones for them. They've got to decide on keeping Levante David at his age. Definitely could use some upgrades. Offensive line, interior offensive line, depth at running back, depth at tight end, a second starting safety. There's definitely holes to fill. They don't have nearly as many free agents. They got a good deal younger last year, so it's not quite the post-Brady purge that they had trying to shuffle and get younger a year ago. But no, I mean, they've got a tough schedule again. The rest of the division is actively getting better around them. So it'll be, I don't know that 9 wins gets the NFC South title this coming year. I mean, they have to find ways to make themselves better with a limited budget.
Same question for Atlanta. They've got the Kirk Cousins deal. What are they looking to do at 8? Where's that biggest need?
But there's 2 positions, and if it's not one of those positions, I'll be shocked. The first one is edge. They need a pass rusher. I think they'll be able to get their pick of any edge in this draft at 8. Could be any defensive player in this draft at 8. But guys like Jared Verse, Dallas Turner from Alabama. The other opportunity would be at receiver, just because they have nothing there outside Drake London. And if you're going to put $40 million into Kirk Cousins, you want to give him people to throw to. He has Drake London, but obviously if you have only one receiver, it makes it easy for your opponents to figure that out. So I think, Cousins being there is great news for Drake London. It's good news for Kyle Pitts, for Bijan Robinson. They need a second receiver. So whether, if you're at 8 and you get lucky, that could be a Dunze, that could be, one of the LSU receivers. There's definitely depth at receiver in this draft where they can come back and use a second-round pick. If they take an edge at 8, they can come back and get a solid wide receiver 2, whatever their second pick is, 45, I think, or something like that. Those are the 2 positions that seem like the most glaring need to them.
Greg, if you were to rank, I think a year ago, if we'd said, hey, all right, rank the quarterbacks in the NFC South, everyone would have started with Derek Carr, which is why I think most people favored the Saints in the division. Right. How would that shake out now?
That's tricky in that you have probably, Carr finished the year really well. I think he had 12 touchdowns against 1 pick in his last 4 games. So it would have been, at Thanksgiving, it was pretty easily Mayfield over Carr over 10 stories of debris, and then Ritter and Young. But now it's definitely more conversation. If Cousins is healthy, I would think the default is for him. That's still a big if for a 35-year-old and an Achilles tendon. So I would think he's slightly above Mayfield, who's slightly above Carr, and then you have to think that Bryce Young is better, but he'll do really well just to get in the conversation with those 3 vets this year. They added Robert Hunt today, a big guard, $20 million a year guard. They'll certainly add some receivers to give him more to throw to, but he'll do well if he's not clearly the 4th quarterback in this division at the end of the season.
What I guess that is, you mentioned Robert Hunt, who's headed to Carolina. What else is, I guess, what else is possible for Carolina? How can they markedly improve year to year, or can they?
Yeah, offensive line has to start. I think that has to be. I think their tackles are kind of guys they're locked into, but interior line, this was a big step today. They probably could use another impact upgrade center or guard on the other side. Their running game has to be better. I think having Canales there will help Bryce Young. And then, his last 2 seasons have been almost reclamation projects, getting the most out of Geno and making him a Pro Bowler, doing the thing with Baker Mayfield in Tampa. I think he'll get him a confidence and a comfort level he never really had as a rookie. I don't know how big a step that forward that is. If that's 25 touchdowns against 10 picks, you'd call that a win, I think, and a step forward. But it's hard to see right now. Hard to see Carolina taking a leap to more than 6 wins, 7 wins. You'd say that's a big step forward for a first-year coach. first-year coordinator. You know, there's a lot of room for growth. As a last-place schedule, they didn't really get any favors. They've got the Bears. They've got the Bengals as last-place opponents. So it's not even like they got hooked up with a couple of 3-win teams they can pencil in for wins.
He is Greg Auman, Fox Sports, been covering the NFC South for a long time. He's on Twitter at Greg Auman, AUMAN. Go give him a follow, especially right now with the legal tampering period, free agency, the draft's right around the bend as well. Does a great job. Greg, we appreciate it. Thank you so much for making a couple of minutes for us.
Oh, no problem. You guys take care. Have a good one.
It's our pleasure. I want to react to some of that. Brought to you by Evamore. If you watch us, you see I got the bottle of Evamore here on set with me now. Appreciate our friends over at Evamore so much. Evamore is all natural, great tasting water. When you uncap a bottle of Evamore, that's the first time the product touches air. It's incredible. It's a natural well. It's natural artesian water. It's a well. It's on the North Shore. I went to their bottling facility. When you pull up on the left, you'll see the well is right there. And they've drilled deep into the earth. They pipe it out right into their filters and their filtration system. Nothing is added. Nothing is extracted. It is completely pure from the earth water. So if you want a healthier option, if you want a healthier lifestyle, something healthier for your children, maybe you're an athlete that wants a superior form of hydration, Evamore, Evamore. If you notice, go to their website, you'll see Dak Prescott is one of their chief spokespeople. I mean, starting NFL quarterback is vouching for it, and it just tastes delicious. It's Evamore. Check it out at great local retailers or order on their website at evamore.com, evamore.com, evamore.com. A little sip there. I put on Twitter earlier today, X, whatever. Do we still, Twitter X, what do we do? What do we do with that? I hate saying Twitter X. I hate saying them both. I'm just sticking with Twitter.
That's what I do. I call it Twitter.
That's Twitter. I'm sticking with Twitter. So I put on Twitter earlier today, but I mean, it is X. It's X. They branded X. It's X. But you type in twitter.com and it still pops up. Anyway. So I put on Twitter earlier, rank the quarterbacks in the NFC South. And I listed them alphabetically by city, and I had to put parenthetically at the bottom, this list is alphabetical by city. Don't come at me with your ish, because Twitter would do that. Because I have Atlanta, Kirk Cousins, Carolina, Bryce Young, New Orleans, Derek Carr, Tampa, Baker Mayfield. I didn't want anybody to see that and assume that was my power ranking. That's not what that is. But I'm asking how you would rank the quarterbacks in the NFC South. And this was an interesting sort of test case. Just as I go through the list, Paul, you can pull this up. I'm going to bank. I read them earlier. I'm going to bank that there's no vulgarity in them, because I did look at these earlier. Aaron Arce goes, Kirk, Baker, Carr, Young. Clarence just said, man, we're in trouble. Brandon, Cousins, Mayfield, Carr, Young. Dan, Cousins, Mayfield, Carr, Young. I think this is what Cousins, Baker, Young, Carr is another one. So there you can tell we're the Saints fans that are just totally you can tell the people that are just totally done. They're totally done with Derek Carr, that they've ranked. And that's not the only one. Let's see. How about this one? Cousins, Baker, Bryce Young, Jameis Winston, then Derek Carr. Hats off to Credabluzer. Zach at Credabluzer. I think he wins. He wins.
That's really good. I like that one. I like that one a lot.
But you can tell there are some people that are Saints fans that are just done. They're just done with Derek Carr. But the point is, most everyone now has Derek Carr third in this division. Baker Mayfield has now brought two bad teams, by the way. And I understand Tampa won a Super Bowl with Brady. So yes, let me rephrase that. He did inherit a team that won the division. However, I think we can all agree that you had a different head coach. Tom Brady wasn't there. You had cap issues. It was not a great situation that Baker stepped into. But Baker got the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs, and he got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to the playoffs. And that's more than we can say for Derek Carr. And so if you go Cousins, Mayfield, Carr, a year ago we were all sitting here looking at the NFC South saying, the Saints are probably favored to win a bad division because they've got the best quarterback in a bad division. And Baker Mayfield outplayed Derek Carr, period. So I think a lot of that conversation now has shifted to favor Baker over Derek Carr until Carr proves he can be more than what we've seen him be for a decade. You know how I feel about this, but it's interesting now that a year later, everyone's singing the same chorus that I've been singing for a year now. But it's also interesting that now Atlanta is essentially in the same position the Saints were in a year ago. You went and got the veteran free agent quarterback that everyone thinks makes you the best team in the division, and maybe it does for Atlanta. But it's made this division certainly more interesting because the quarterback play got a big boost with Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Bryce Young, as opposed to what it was a year ago where you had Mayfield and Kyle Trask battling it out and whatever that was in Atlanta a year ago. All right, it's after further review. Our Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows, Windows Door Siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Let me knock out a quick break. We'll come back. We'll go around the SEC. And before this hour's over, I do want to give you my thoughts on the LSU baseball weekend series win over Xavier, where the Tigers took 2 out of 3. So we'll get to that. Glad you're hanging out with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by the Watermark Hotel and the Renaissance Hotel. I tell you all the time, 2 amazing hotel properties in Baton Rouge, the Watermark Downtown and the Renaissance Southtown. One of the very cool things that they continue doing over at the Renaissance, I've told you about, it's the Evenings at the Renaissance series. This is an opportunity to go have a great night out, exclusive spirit tastings, and just experience something different. So coming up, the next one is in 11 days. It's March 22nd. It's featuring Oxbow Rum Distillery. So it's the exclusive Oxbow Spirit Tasting event. Again, March 22nd, 6 until 8:30 at the Renaissance Hotel. You know where the Renaissance is. Right there on Bluebonnet, between the mall and Perkins Row on the other side of the street. You know where it is. You can't miss it. It's close proximity to I-10 at Bluebonnet. And you can get your tickets and enjoy a great night out coming up on March the 22nd. Over at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Hey, remember that time when Muse and Paulie didn't even know that 311 was a band?
Gee, how could I forget?
That's just sad day.
Yeah.
How in the world did that ever happen?
It did.
Man.
And I'm reminded of it annually now.
Are you really? Oh,
yeah.
just on this day?
On this day.
Oh, on this day.
It was one of the first things you said when we walked in the studio. Hey, Moose, it's 311 day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Well, I was just telling you that to make sure we use 311 bumps today. That's
gotcha.
Just so disappointed.
But I mean, then, like, coming back in, you just reminded me, you know.
I think, yeah, I think that was the first time in my life where I had one of those, like, really, hey, you're getting older moments. Like, you all, it's not that you didn't know songs. Like, you didn't even, neither of you knew 311 existed.
Yeah.
Like, neither of you had a clue what the band was.
I'd never heard of them. There were songs that I recognized, but if you asked me who sang it, I'd be like, I have no idea.
Just so disappointed. Happy 311 Day, everybody, to those that celebrate, but not to Muse and Paulie. You chumps. Both of you bums.
I like this. This is good.
Yeah, imagine that. They're
good.
a great band that's been around for a quarter century, 30 years, making amazing music, celebrated. By the way, they used to do their 311 Day concert in New Orleans every year. Like, they embraced Louisiana here. I mean, and you too. Anyway. Turn it up, Muse. If I'm not talking, turn it. There it is. Okay, SEC basketball awards. Lamont Paris, South Carolina Coach of the Year. Dalton Knecht from Tennessee, the Player of the Year. Sean East out of Missouri, Scholar Athlete of the Year. Reed Shepherd from Kentucky, the Freshman of the Year. Rob Dillingham from Kentucky, the Sixth Man of the Year. And Zakai Ziegler from Tennessee, named Defensive Player of the Year. No LSU players honored on either the first or second team. Not that that's, I think, in any way a gigantic surprise. Earlier in the season, it felt like Jordan Wright might have had an inroad there, an inside track to earn his way onto one of those teams somehow, some way, but wasn't meant to be. Your first team, all SEC men's basketball. Remember, ties are not broken. So Mark Sears, Janai Broom, Zion Pullen, Antonio Reeves, Tolu Smith, Dalton Knecht, Zakai Ziegler, and Wade Taylor was your first team, all SEC for men's basketball here in 2024. All right, it is after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. I am going to talk LSU baseball in the next segment to wrap up hour number one. I'll give you my thoughts from the weekend series. We're brought to you by South Point Volkswagen and SouthPointVW.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at SouthPointVW.com, SouthPointVW.com. Check them out. Remember, now through the end of the month, 0% for 60 months on brand new Tiguans. That's the compact SUV, one of their top safety picks. You could drive away in a sporty, stylish, safe, affordable Tiguan. 0% for 60 months there at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or SouthPointVW.com. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? Okay, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Missouri Tigers.
A former Arizona State and Notre Dame quarterback Drew Pine is transferring to Missouri. Pine was on a trip to Columbia this weekend and committed. He'll enroll after the spring semester and expects to have 3 years of eligibility remaining. So Pine only played in 2 games at Arizona State this year because of injury. Went back to South Bend this semester to finish his degree at Notre Dame. Then he'll transfer to Mizzou. He's expected to be Brady Cook's backup and then compete for the starting job in 2025.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
Bama landed a big in-state commit Monday. Derek Smith, wideout/defensive back from Selma, committed to the Tide. 4-star prospect, the number 6 wide receiver nationally, the number 51 overall player in the country for 2025. Smith became the 5th commitment for Alabama in the 2025 class.
The Florida Gators.
And Florida landed a commitment from 2025 offensive lineman Enoch Wangoy, 6'7", 314-pound prospect. Big dude, actually originally from England, who left his home country at age 16 to pursue basketball in the U.S., found football, and apparently that's worked out pretty well for him. Gators, number 20 in the country in team rankings. They've got 5 commits for 2025. Okay, there you have it. That is around the SEC. Glad to have you hanging out with us here. One more quick note before we break. The SEC basketball tournament schedule, if you haven't seen it yet, LSU did finish as the 8th seed in the conference, which congrats to Matt McMahon and the guys, and just an incredible accomplishment from where they were a year ago to now. Just, it's really just a stunning accomplishment to go from 2 wins in the league, picked 13th this year, to go 500 in conference play, 9-9, and to be the 8th seed. So, if you look at the bracket, Vandy and Arkansas will play on Wednesday in the first round. Missouri will play Georgia. Obviously, it's all single elimination. LSU's the 8th seed. They'll take on Mississippi State Thursday at noon Central. It's the first game Thursday, so it will be noon. It's not like you got to worry about a weird start time because of delays and all that stuff. So it'll be noon on Wednesday, LSU and Mississippi State. And then Ole Miss, Texas A&M is the 10-7 matchup. South Carolina awaits the winner of Vandy, Arkansas. Florida awaits the winner of Missouri and Georgia. So if LSU were to beat Mississippi State, they'd play at noon on Friday against the top seed, Tennessee. So obviously it's not a great draw for LSU. I mean, you're the 8th seed, but you get another swing at Mississippi State. Remember, LSU had great back-to-back wins against South Carolina on the road, Kentucky at home. And after those 2 emotional wins, LSU was at home on that Saturday a couple of weeks ago against Mississippi State and got pummeled by 20 by the Bulldogs. So chance to take another swing there at Mississippi State coming up on potential, or a chance to take a swing at Mississippi State on Thursday, and if you win, you'll take on Tennessee on Friday. All right, it is After Further Review. Monday shows are brought to you by Relief Windows. Let me knock out a quick break, come back, and we'll wrap up hour number 1 with some LSU baseball. Tigers take 2 out of 3 this weekend over Xavier. I'll give you some takeaways. Stick around.
AFR.
Y'all, the hiring market since COVID has been really bad. If you're a business owner, you know that. Not only is it hard to find qualified employees, but to keep qualified employees as well. If you're a business owner and that sounds familiar, you need Glow Resources. GLO, glowresources.com. Glow Resources, they are not a temp staffing agency. That's not what they are. They are complete employer solutions. They will help you cut through the rigmarole when it comes to hiring. They will help you find qualified people, and they stand by their work. As a matter of fact, they guarantee it. If you hire Glow Resources and the employee they place in your business, if it doesn't work, they'll find you a new employee for free or give you a prorated refund. It's Glow Resources with a 93% success and retention rate. GLO, glowresources.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps. Your roots are planted deep inside of me.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Value Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $17,500 off new 23 1500 Bighorn trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $17,500 off new Ram 1500 trucks. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Xavier hands LSU just their second loss of the season. For the Musketeers, they get back to 500 at 8-8. For LSU, they fall to 14-2, and a 9-game win streak ends on this Sunday afternoon. The final again, Xavier 2, LSU 1.
You know, whenever a program like LSU loses to a team like Xavier, that's probably going to be what most people tend to focus on. For whatever reason, you tend to accentuate the negative instead of the positive. And coming off of this weekend against Xavier, I actually think it should be flipped because I'm less concerned in the micro of the result of a series against Xavier where you did win 2 out of 3. And I'm more concerned with the macro of what that means for this team, this LSU baseball team, starting SEC play this weekend and moving throughout the season. Yes, of course, you would have loved to have swept, and you would have loved to have had your offense show up a little better on Friday and Sunday, no doubt. But what is a dramatic difference this year from even a year ago where LSU won the national championship is you are going into conference play knowing unequivocally not only what your rotation is, but that your rotation is dominant. You are going into SEC play already knowing bullpen roles. Like, if LSU gets into a situation where they need a stopper, I'm pretty sure Fidel Ulloa is coming out of the bullpen. If you need a lefty, it's going to be Nate Ackenhausen. At the end of the game, they sure like Gavin Guidry. I mean, you see what I mean? Roles are already pretty well established on that pitching staff. That's not to say it won't change and you might not have guys emerge and develop, but you feel really good about where you are on the bump right now. And also offensively, I kind of feel like I know, and I'm sure Jay does as well, who their best 9 are. A couple of things from this weekend. And I'll start with the pitching. Your 3 starters, Holman, Jump, Hurd, combined to go 16 innings without allowing an earned run. Say that again very slowly. By the way, this is against living, breathing human beings, scholarship baseball players that are trying to get hits. 16 innings from your starters without allowing an earned run. Xavier scored 1 unearned run on Thatcher Hurd on Sunday. That's it. You struck out 29 and walked 4. That's just your starters. In 16 innings, 29 strikeouts, 4 walks. That'll play against anybody. So I know going into this weekend, and look, coming off of the first 2 weekends, there was questions about Thatcher Hurd. We talked about it a little here. I had been told that they had changed some things mechanically and kind of how they were calling pitches. We talked about it here, that going into last weekend, he had thrown the best bullpen of the year. They were trying to revert to some of the things he was doing at the end of last year. And clearly the last 2 starts, it's shown. Thatcher Hurd has, I've had scouts tell me, the best stuff of the 3 starters. Just stuff. If he can command it, he's got a super high ceiling. In the last 2 weeks, you've seen the walk numbers come down, and he's had greater command of his stuff. And if he does that, he's going to look like the guy that won you the national championship game in Omaha last year. And oh, by the way, is there any team in America that has that guy as a number 3? That's where you have a great advantage, of course. Because if Holman Jump split, you got Hurd on Sunday, who's going to give you an advantage basically any Sunday in conference play. So I feel great about the pitching going into this weekend. As far as the offense, this weekend was a tale of 2 different halves, so to speak. Saturday was awesome. Friday started awesome and then didn't go so awesome. LSU put up 2 runs in the first, 2 runs in the second on Friday. Didn't get a hit the rest of the way. And then Sunday, they only put up 1 unearned run. And the really disappointing thing is, man, they had opportunities on Sunday. Here was Jay Johnson after the game on Sunday about those offensive struggles.
We made the third out at third base in the first inning. We didn't execute a drag bunt that allowed them to get the lead out. And the first inning was tough because that guy was about to lose it. It was a 2-0 count right there. So we were about in a bases-loaded situation, which is the same place we ended up yesterday. And that's a lot of pressure and probably would have forced him to go to the bullpen earlier had that inning continued. And then we got, I think it was the 6th. Yeah, it was the 6th. We got first and second, nobody out. In a good spot, before they could get to that good reliever there. Didn't get the bunt down and either flied out or popped up, I can't remember, and, didn't score there. And so that took the pressure off of them.
Look, here's the thing on Sunday. You had the leadoff man on in the first, second, and the third. In the 4th inning, you had 1 out, and Jones triples off the wall, and he came home on an error, but Larson was up next. Ashton Larson got a start, and he struck out. All you got to do is put the ball in play on the right side. Just put the ball in play on the right side, that run scores. He struck out. Then Bingham just rolled over one of the second basemen who just booted it, and so the run scored. And then Braswell struck out. But you had those opportunities. In the 6th, this was, for me, this is where Jay was talking about the drag bunt. And you'll know how I feel about bunting. But Jones reaches on an error, and then they change pitchers. Kling gets hit by a pitch on a 3-1 pitch. And then Bingham is up with first and second, and he keeps showing bunt, and he gets to a 3-0 count. Like, this guy can't throw a strike. And then finally he grooves one, so it's 3-1, and then he bunts, and they get the lead runner at third. Again, never bunt. And then Braswell struck out, and Milam flew out. So you blew an opportunity where you had the first 2 guys on. My point is, they had so many opportunities in that day, and it was such a contrast because Saturday was so impressive offensively. You scored 8 runs and 11 hits. You walked 7 times, and they just put relentless pressure on Xavier. And there was one instance in particular. It was the 5th, if I'm not mistaken. It was the 5th. And I thought this was the case in point of how a team offensive approach should work. Bingham flies out to start the inning, then Braswell singles, And then Milazzo single to center. By the way, hat tip to Alex Milazzo. He's hitting 400 and he's doing an amazing job. Like, he learned, hey, let the ball travel, go up the middle or the other way with it. Don't try to do too much, and you're seeing what's happening as a result. So you got first and second with one out. Pearson flies out, so you got 2 outs now, and you got Milam up. And Milam starts 0-2. He's a switch hitter. He's batting from the right side, or from the left side, excuse me. He's a right-handed pitcher, and he just hits a missile down the third baseline, almost hit Braswell. So he's 0-2. And for whatever reason, I know he's batting lefty, but there was a big gap in the 6 hole, and it was almost like a golfer with a wedge on the fringe where you just bump and run. I mean, he just dribbled one through the 6 hole, but it got the run home. And then Travinski ropes a double, which is a 2 RBI double. All that with 2 outs because guys were playing within themselves and doing what they're expected to do in this offense. It's there. And the other thing, too, I feel like going to Starkville this weekend, you know who your 9 are going to be. You're going to have Neal catching, Travinski DHing. You're going to have Jones at first. You have White at third. You're going to put Milam at second. You're going to have Braswell at short. And left to right in the outfield, you're going to go Bingham, Kling, Pearson. Like, I could make a strong case for Milazzo, but that's probably your best 9 right now. That's probably what they're going to do on Friday. And when your best 9, and look, Jay's giving a lot of guys opportunity to play. Larson got a start yesterday. We saw Fry get a start on Saturday. Unfortunately, hurt his shoulder. I'm all for getting guys opportunities to play, but understand when it's time, and it's time now, come Friday, your best 9 are going to be out there, and I think he's got a good idea who that is. I think LSU's going to be just fine. Good weekend for the Tigers. Okay, SportsCenter's coming up. Hour 2 is next.
AFR.
Brought to you by Pure Restoration. Pure-Restoration.com. Pure-Restoration.com. Tell you all the time, kill mold, remove odor. They're the best. They'll come in, spray their patented non-toxic dry fog treatment. But I want to remind you that Pure Restoration, this is very important. Pure Restoration is fully licensed, a fully licensed mold remediation and general contractor by the state of Louisiana. They have a patented non-toxic dry fog technology. You can go to the website, read the full-on report from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and they are fully licensed by the state of Louisiana. So you have here a technology that is more efficient. They'll knock the mold out quicker, and it's more cost-effective than traditional remediation. Don't be fooled by other companies. Pure Restoration is fully licensed by the state of Louisiana. Learn more at pure-restoration.com.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
There it is, the extra mile on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. One day after Russell Wilson agreed to sign with the Steelers, another veteran quarterback has found a new team. Kirk Cousins agreeing to a 4-year deal with the Falcons, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed. Eagles signing running back Saquon Barkley, 3 years, $38 million. The now former Giant, a fit in Philly, believes ESPN NFL analyst Mina Kimes.
He can run routes. He can get you yards after the catch. When he is in the backfield, he is a legitimate threat to do multiple things with the ball in his hands. So to me, it makes the Eagles offense more multiple, harder to predict. It'll add that pass-catching element that I really like.
Barkley signing just part of a busy day for the Eagles, also signing defensive end Bryce Huff, 3 years, $51 million, and guard Landon Dickerson, 3 years, $87 million. Raiders signing former Dolphins defensive tackle Christian Wilkins, 4 years, $110 million, $85 million guaranteed. Running back Josh Jacobs is signing with the Packers, who have told Aaron Jones they are releasing him. The Giants agreed with running back Devin Singletary, 3 years, $16 million. Baseball, Yankees ace Garrett Cole will have an MRI after experiencing right elbow discomfort.
Hey, it's your resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Cannon. Coming up Tuesday, legal tampering is here. I'll tell you which moves will have the biggest impact on next season. It's unsportsmanlike, 6 a.m. Eastern, right here on ESPN Radio, ESPN2, and ESPNU.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 2, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
Yusuf. And Mr. Toby Tom Play. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Our buddy David Dellucci, 1 hour from right now. We'll talk some SEC baseball. Saints extend DeMario Davis. We'll get to that here in about 15 minutes. It is always my pleasure. I would actually consider it a blasty blast when Jeffrey Marx joins us in studio. Many know Jeff from the many times we have done this show with Walking with Tigers, dating back to that project's genesis in 2014, thereabouts.
Book came out in 2015, but I
Yeah.
want to say we started about 4 years before that.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
And when Jeff and I have been doing this in some form all the way back to 2008 when you wrote The Long Snapper, the book about Brian Kinchin, who, of course, had the incredible story where he came out of retirement, where he was teaching at Parkview Baptist to snap for the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl. I'm giving you a much abbreviated Cliff's Notes version, but get the book if you haven't read it. How are you? It's great to see you.
Doing great. Always good to see you.
Whenever you come calling, knocking, texting, you usually have a really good story to tell. That's one of the things that's always intriguing about you. And this one doesn't have anything to do with LSU, but it's a phenomenally fascinating story. So What have you brought for us this time?
Well, there is a Burt Jones cameo
Oh, thank you.
appearance.
Okay, yes.
Let's not forget that.
Yes,
so
there
we'll kind
is
of
an LSU
keep that
tie.
on the LSU mode there. But, Matt, this is one of the craziest ones I've been involved in. It was, you and I have joked about this for years in my life, this strange life that it's been, that all roads lead through the Colts. And for me, that's the Baltimore Colts, because that is how old I am. And the team was in Baltimore when I was a kid. And I happen to have the great good fortune to be a ball boy for that team for a bunch of years, starting at the age of 11. So this story today starts with a game in 1978. I had just turned 16 years old, and some pretty crazy things happened in this game, all of which led to what's going to be a show on PBS tonight, Antiques Roadshow, that I stumbled into and somehow became part of.
So let's pick it up. So you're 16, you're ball boy for the Baltimore Colts, and the Colts are playing a Monday Night Football game in 1978 in New England against the Patriots. Okay, take it from there.
So I'll give you a little context.
Okay.
The Colts were supposed to be really good that year, but then Burt Jones, the aforementioned Burt Jones, star quarterback of the Colts by that point, was hurt in the preseason. So the first couple games of the year, he was out, and the Colts got absolutely blasted. They lost the first game 38-0, the second game 42-0. So they enter this game, the third game of the season, having given up 80 points and scored 0 points. So we'll just say...
who's number 12 playing quarterback?
That is a man named Bill Troop, who nobody had ever heard of, and probably very few sports fans to this day have heard of or ever will.
First time I ever heard his name, just that.
Right. So he was actually the third string for a while, then became second string. He got into the game here, and the Colts entered the game as big underdogs. They're in the locker room before the game. This was at New England. It was a Monday Night Football game when Howard Cosell was in the booth, and when Monday Night Football was a huge deal because there just weren't as many nationally televised games back then. So it was a mammoth thing every Monday night. The hype was incredible. And I'm in the locker room before the game because it's only the third game of the season, and I had come up from New York, where I lived, to Foxborough, Massachusetts, where the game was that Monday night. I hadn't been to the first two games. So a guy that I had never seen before came up to me in the locker room. He was a new player. He had just been traded to the Colts. He was a guy named Joe Washington. And he introduced himself to me, and he said, "Hey, if you have a couple minutes, can you do me a favor?" And I said, "Yeah, of course. That's what we're here for." So he handed me a stack of 4 neatly folded game jerseys. But they weren't normal jerseys. They were made out of cotton. They were called tearaway jerseys.
Okay.
They have since been banned by the NFL in large part because of this game. And he asked me to cut holes in them so that they would tear very easily when a defender got a hold of him. So I didn't know what was going on. I'd been with the Colts doing these types of things since I was 11, but I'd never had a player ask me to do this before. So I kind of did it, sat there and cut holes in these 4 jerseys and handed them back. And he was very pleased. He thought it would work out great, and boy, did it. So it was fun during the game and funny standing on the sideline of this NFL game, watching this guy running and darting and dodging, and every time anyone got a hand on him, they just ended up with clothing, ripping off a piece of clothing, and there Joe would go. And
that's wild. He
ended up with what Howard Cosell called one of the greatest performances ever on Monday Night Football. In the fourth quarter alone, he threw for a touchdown pass, 54 yards to Roger Carr. He received a touchdown pass, 23 yards from the aforementioned Bill Troop. And with just over a minute left and the score tied, just over a minute left in the game, he returned a kickoff 90 yards for the winning touchdown.
Oh, my goodness. For an awful, at this point, awful football team.
For a terrible team that now won the biggest game of the year for them, it turned out to be, and the most historic game in Joe Washington's career. It was a great career. He was a Pro Bowl player. He had been an All-American twice at Oklahoma, had won 2 national championships there in college under Barry Switzer. He was an accomplished guy.
Sure.
But this is the game that he's remembered for. And those jerseys had a lot to do with it.
So this is, by the way, if you're watching, you'll see on the back screen, this is the kickoff that Jeff was talking about here, where Joe Washington runs. Well, that wasn't it. Never mind. That was a shorter kickoff. And this is in a driving rainstorm. So the Colts win the game. Joe Washington's heroics, the reason for it, in the tearaway jerseys. Post-game locker room, you stumble upon a piece of what we now know as memorabilia that's going to be featured tonight on the Antique Roadshow.
Well, in the locker room after the game, there's a lot of little jobs that ball boys are asked to do, and you help cleaning up and everything else, but you load the bags onto the truck when it's an away game, and the equipment trunks and all of that. And as we were finishing all of that, and I was walking out with a man named Marty Daly, who was the equipment manager, I happened to notice on the floor in just a big pile of trash that had been swept up, tape from ankles and all this type of thing that's on the floor of a locker room after a football game. 2 of these jerseys, what remained of them, they were just balled up and in this trash pile on the floor. And I said to Marty, hey, anything going to happen with those? You want those? Are you taking them? Is it okay if I take them? He said, sure. What are we going to do with them? They're just going in the trash. And so I took them with me that night and took them back with me home to New York. A couple days later, I took thumbtacks and tacked one of them up on the wall of my childhood bedroom. I don't really remember what I did with the other one, but they were there for a while, and then they just I was cleaning out in the basement in New York just a few years back, and there they were. And I had brought one back with me to Baton Rouge just to keep in my office.
Did you ever wash it?
No, it's never been washed.
Are you serious?
It would probably fall apart. I mean, they're in such terrible shape.
Makes sense,
but
yeah.
I really had I don't know. I'm not going to. It's nothing you could wear even if you wanted to, so it doesn't have to be washed.
Does it stink?
No, I don't think it does. I don't think it stinks, but it probably does. I haven't really taken a good sniff of it, Matt. Now I'm wondering if I should when I get back home today, but probably won't.
It's almost 50 years old. It's got 50 years of sweat and rain and saliva and whatever else was strewn upon it in an NFL game 50 years ago.
And now you have given me a whole new way to think of it, Matt. Thank you for that. Maybe we don't save that thing after all.
So you take the jersey. And Jeff Marx is in studio with us tonight. Antique Roadshow is going to feature in part this story. So 16-year-old Jeff is ball boy for the Colts. Joe Washington has this amazing game against the Patriots in Foxborough. Jeff takes one of these tearaway jerseys. It's in a basement for years. You uncovered a couple of years ago. All right, take us to how this is relevant and you end up on Antique Roadshow.
And quickly first, if I may. So when I said the word a piece of history of NFL history and of Joe Washington's history, I know that word can get overused a little bit in terms of sports accomplishments. When I say that with this, I mean history because it was actually less than 2 weeks later that the NFL owners in a meeting decided to ban tearaway jerseys.
So this was one of the last games ever.
It was right. Joe only got to wear it for these types of jerseys for 2 more games. And there were a couple. Earl Campbell wore them.
Sure.
Greg Pruitt. There were very few guys that wore them in the NFL. It was more of a thing in college football at the time. So that's what I mean when I say a little bit of NFL history. It literally led to a rule change in the NFL. But to answer your question,
it's so interesting because now like everything is so tight to prevent grabbing, right? I mean, jerseys for skilled position guys they are intentionally very, very tight for that reason.
And you might just find a little bit of Vaseline on them for the same reason. But
maybe so.
Yes, especially offensive linemen. But to answer your question about this TV show, I get a call from a friend last spring, an old college buddy of mine named John Berdar. And he says, I'm going to be in Baton Rouge in a few weeks. It'd be great to get together with you and Leslie if you guys are going to be around. And I said, yeah, we sure are. And we figured out the dates. It looked great. And he explained what he was going to be doing. He's a very accomplished TV director and producer. And he worked for National Geographic for years, now works for WGBH in Boston, which is they're the entity that produces a lot of the shows for the national PBS. So he's the vice president of national programming. He explained all that to me. It kind of went in and out. I didn't understand it. All I know is he's a great guy, an Emmy winner. He's a very talented, humble man, and a friend. And I was just happy to get together. He says, but you should come see me at the show that we're going to be doing while we're in Baton Rouge. And by the way, if you want to bring something with you to this Antiques Roadshow, I knew nothing about it. All I knew, it did ring a bell because my 88-year-old mom, I think it's her favorite show. And I came to find out later that it does. The demographics do kind of skew.
A little older?
Yes, I believe so.
They're big with the octogenarians?
Well, but they're also really big on social media now, I have since learned. So the whole process has been really fun for me to learn about it. Went out there. It was in May at the LSU Rural Life Museum, spent the whole day out there. It was really interesting to learn about what they do, how they do it. I want to say there were 4,000 to 5,000 items that they looked at.
Oh, wow.
And they narrow that down to 100 and something that they're somewhat interested in and using possibly. And you go through this whole screening process, and it literally does take hours. And finally they said, we'd love to interview you about this jersey, if that's okay. And I said, sure. And they explained that even though they wanted to do the interview, it still doesn't mean you're going to be on the show. So it was only maybe 3-4 weeks ago that I found out that this had been selected as one of the pieces they were going to use on one of the episodes.
So out of several thousand potential pieces, yours, the Joe Washington jersey, gets chosen. So fill us in for those that aren't familiar about. So what is the process with Antique Roadshow? Is it just displayed, or what is the? And if you're watching the clip, if you can't watch it, the clip is on social media. It's on their Twitter. I just retweeted it so you could see this. But yeah, so what is the process that kind of we're watching here?
Yeah, so the process is, first you go through a long line, and they're all different categories. So when he first asked me about being on the show, Antiques Roadshow, I'm like, yeah, I'm not really a guy that has antique furniture or artwork or any of these types of things.
Coins.
None of that.
Yeah.
And so, but he said, yeah, but you've been around sports your whole life. We have a sports memorabilia category. And I said, okay. So that got me thinking. So they have tables and lines for each category. You go through your table, through your line. They have appraisers. They bring, I want to say, 50 to 60 appraisers from all over the country who specialize in that particular category. That in itself was really interesting to me, to get to learn what they do and how they do it. So they do that. They want to hear the story. They want to learn about what they call provenance. I would call that ownership, or the trail it took from point A to point Z all these years later. To make sure that the item is real and authentic. And they talk about all that, and they ask you some questions. And then they do one of two things. They either give you an appraisal right then, or they say, hey, do you mind waiting a few minutes? And one of our other producers would like to talk to you about this. And that means they're kind of interested. I think the 90% of them, they give you your appraisal because they want everybody to leave with that information who brings something. But for those that they're actually going to interview and possibly have on the show, that's what starts the screening process.
Yeah. So as you go through this, you're obviously been chosen to be on the show. How did you learn that? And what was the appraisal process like?
Well, if you're going to be interviewed and possibly used on the show, they don't tell you the appraisal price until the live interview, because they want to get, and that's actually funny because my reaction was horrible. I looked there. I've seen some of the episodes since, once I got interested. And I think that's part of what makes the show so fun, is seeing people's wild reactions when they're told what their appraisal prices are. Some of them are incredible, and people have no idea. And I have just the worst reaction ever. I mean, I might as well have just been standing there waiting for the bus or something. It was just horrific. And I realized afterwards, I'm like, well, you could have at least been a little more excited or something. But here's the reason. I don't want to make it just that I did a terrible job, even though I did. The reason was, I know I'm never going to sell the thing.
Right.
And so it didn't matter to me whether they told me it was worth $12 or $120,000. It means nothing to me. To most people, they would see this thing and say, it's nothing more than a rag. To me, it's a museum piece, but it's a museum piece that I'm going to keep with me. Yeah. And I actually have an end game for it that I don't really want to talk about right now, but I can assure you it will not be sold.
When the end game does happen, we'd love to have you back to talk about how that goes. Whenever that day may come. In the meantime, it's always a fascinating story. So if you have a chance tonight, 7 p.m. on PBS, or here it'll be LPB, and it's the Antique Roadshow. And they did. How many episodes are going to air of footage from the LSU Rural Life Museum? Do you know?
There will be 3 episodes.
3, okay.
Baton Rouge based, and the first one is already aired. This is the second, and the third one will be next week.
Very cool. So set your DVR if you still have such a thing. If not, make sure you check it out on social media. I'm sure it's on YouTube as well. People probably post the episodes there.
Right. So Antiques Roadshow has all the social media, and it's out. Right. This segment has been actually out for a few days now, because they called it their sneak peek appraisal, which they do apparently one a week. I'm learning all these things as we go. So it's out there and it's available.
Make sure you check it out. Again, I did just retweet from Antique Roadshow the about 4-minute clip of Jeff, the interaction. You can see the jersey as well, which is pretty remarkable. Anytime you call and have a story, I know it's always going to be interesting. I'm looking forward. I haven't seen it yet. I haven't watched because I wanted to be surprised when I watched it tonight. So We just saw the clip, but I obviously didn't have it with audio. But
well, you'll be looking for the non-reaction reaction.
He is Jeff Marx. Anything else? We'll always tell people, of course, about walking with tigers. Anything else cooking?
No, I'm just enjoying life, enjoying being with Leslie, and of course, as you know, our horse Dusty, who is the primary figure in our lives. Yes. And no, everything else is good, though. Thanks for having me, Matt.
We always appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
That is Jeff Marx. This is After Further Review. Saints extend Demario Davis. I'll give you some reaction to it next on AFR.
AFR.
Get Gordon and get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. The G team continues growing. It's really cool. If you follow Gordon on any of the social media, you'll see. Go to @GetGordon on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. You'll see the growing members of the G team. The Rhinestone Queen, Aaliyah Armstrong, who, by the way, is going to be in studio with us here in a couple of weeks. Looking forward to that from LSU Women's Track and Field. They got a great sit-down with Aaliyah up right now if you want to go check that out. As a matter of fact, LSU gymnast Aaliyah Finnegan and Connor McClain will be in studio with us in a couple of weeks as well. We love to be able to tell their stories and help tell their stories. Of course, talk a lot about these student athletes who are doing great things right now throughout their seasons, their careers. And Gordon has given them a great platform here through NIL and the G team. And as we always say, if you've been in an accident, it's not your fault. You need representation. Don't go it alone. Gordon and his team have been helping injured people in our state for more than 30 years. Go to getgordon.com, getgordon.com, get Gordon, and get it done.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared towards seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other.
Waiting for a statement, but stations frequency is vacant. Why don't we go outside?
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Everyone's
Well, the NFL legal tampering period has opened. Obviously, no prohibition on re-signing your own players, which is what the Saints have done now with Demario Davis. Demario Davis, listen, full disclosure, you all listen to this show, you follow me on any social media, you know that I am a devout and almost borderline rabid absurd Demario Davis fan. I watch Saints games with a Demario Davis Man of God headband on. If you remember that story from a few years ago, he wore a headband that had Man of God on it. The NFL fined him because he was wearing something that had a message on it that was not approved by the league. Now, ultimately, he got a lot of publicity. He sells those to raise money for his charity, and I think they made good and maybe rescinded the fine, but he couldn't wear it. And now he wears the really cool like fleur-de-lis looking thing, which is awesome anyway. But so I love Demario Davis. I love everything about him as a player. He is always available, first and foremost. He is a phenomenal leader. He plays with reckless abandon, and he's such a good, clearly a good man in the community. And if you know anything about a lot of the charitable work he's done, there's just nothing about Demario Davis to dislike. It's impossible to fabricate something to dislike about Demario Davis. And so the fact that the Saints have now extended Demario Davis, I'm excited about it. And it's a little, it's kind of perplexing because in a vacuum, you look at extending a 35-year-old linebacker and you go, man, what are you doing? Demario Davis is 35 years old. What are you doing extending him at this point? Like, are you going to keep paying him at age 36, 37, potentially age 38? And the answer is, yeah. Because Demario Davis hasn't shown you any signs at all of regression. And I understand fully the thought, and this was and has been the Saints' premise or approach to free agents for a long time. They'd rather get rid of a player a year too early than a year too late. And by and large, that's a good strategy. There have been times that they miss, and we tend to remember the misses. The two most notable misses were Malcolm Jenkins and Darren Sproles. Two guys they got rid of probably too early, and they look back and said, regrettably, should have kept those guys. And ultimately did end up bringing Malcolm Jenkins back, but Sproles still had a lot of tread on the tire when he went up to Philly. But while it's hard to explain continuing to invest in an aging player, when you look in the macro, when you zoom in at Demario Davis, do you realize that in 2023, in his 12th NFL season, moving into age 35, where he is right now, Demario Davis just had his most productive season as a Saint. He had 121 tackles, the most he's had as a Saint. 74 solo tackles. That was the second most he had as a Saint. The most was 87 in his second year in New Orleans back in 2019. And he had 6.5 sacks, which ties the most he's had as a Saint, which he did a year ago in 2022. If Demario Davis were an aging, regressing player, like, as much as I hate to say this, Cam Jordan, who had 2 sacks this year, then I feel very different about this. Because what are you paying for if that's the case? But with Demario Davis, you've got a guy that in 12 NFL seasons, I'm going to say this slowly so it doesn't get lost. In 12 NFL seasons, Demario Davis has never missed a game due to injury. 12 seasons. 194 games played. He's missed 1 game. And it was in 2021 because of COVID. That's it. 194 games. 12 seasons. Never missed a game due to injury. If the best ability is availability, he's the best ever. 121 tackles this year, 6.5 sacks, 12 TFLs. He just had the second best season of his career and the best season he's had in New Orleans. So, yeah, I'm not going to marry myself to the age and say, yeah, but he's 35. I don't care. He's still a massively productive player, and to sign a new deal for $17.25 million and $13.25 in full guarantees, I'm great with that. 2 more years, I'm good signing Demario Davis to a 2-year extension. And the other thing, too, is Davis's cap hit in 2024 was slated to be $18 million. In doing this 2-year deal, 2-year $17.25, you can spread that out and give yourself some cap relief this year. So it helps you financially. You extend a super productive player, and I can't see the counter argument to it right now. I mean, we're going to have these conversations when Davis is done about the best free agent signings in Saints history. And quite honestly, Drew Brees is clearly the standard. It's like Brees and then start the list. Demario Davis has got to be at the top of the list. I mean, it's Brees, of course, and then you start the list. Brees is just in a completely different category. But it's like Demario Davis, Jabari Greer, Joe Horn, Darren Sproles. I mean, this is the list of the greatest free agent signings ever for the Saints. And Davis is above all of them. He has been either first or second team All-Pro every year since 2019. The only year in New Orleans that he didn't earn any All-Pro recognition was his first in 2018. But every year since, including this last year, 5 consecutive years, he's either been first or second team All-Pro. I mean, he's awesome. And it's like when you look at the age thing, I can remember this when, for those who know my family and our story, we have a little boy who's almost 10 now. And he was in the hospital for a long time. We were in the hospital for 9 months when he was born and had a long, long, arduous journey. I'm getting to a point here. But the doctors would always tell us, like, how does he look? Don't chase numbers. Like you could look at all these monitors he was hooked up to, and you'd want ideally these monitors would have certain readings, right? You'd want this to be at a 75. Well, it's at 64. And it's like, okay, that's not ideal, but look at it. Like he's presenting very well. So stop chasing the number and treat the patient. I look at that with Davis. Like you could look at 35 years old and you go, he's 35. Okay, he's 35, and he's coming off an all-pro season where he played in every game and just had the best season he's had in New Orleans. So I'm not going to be spooked by the fact that Demario Davis is 35. I'm going to celebrate the fact that he's an all-pro, just had the most productive season he's had in New Orleans. So yes, as long as he continues to play and perform at an all-pro level, why would I have a problem paying Demario Davis, which, by the way, on a 2-year, $17.25 million deal, feels like a bargain for an all-pro linebacker. Demario Davis, 2-year extension to stay in New Orleans. We'll wait to see all the financial terms of the deal and how it's all going to shape out and how they're going to work out the cap hits and all that sort of stuff. So when we have all that, we'll talk about it. But this should also lower Davis's cap number for 2024 as well. Okay, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. We are brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com. If you're thinking about buying tires, buy them where you're going to get them, the absolute cheapest. And Shawbills guarantees they'll sell you the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. They offer Charlie's Price Match Guarantee as part of Charlie's Dozen. If you buy tires at Shawbills and within 30 days after your purchase, you find the same tire advertised cheaper, they'll refund you 125% of the difference. That's at Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. So buy the best tires on the road at the cheapest price possible. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. That's where you'll find them. You go shop tires online, or you can always give them a buzz or just walk on into any of their locations at Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling. Okay, it's After Further Review. Thanks to Jeff Marx for being in studio with us. Greg Auman was here last hour, covers the NFC South for Fox Sports. If you missed that, you can catch it on demand at 1045ESPN.com or just search After Further Review on your favorite podcast app. We'll get it up on the After Further Review YouTube channels as well. David Dellucci here in about 30 minutes from right now. We'll talk a little SEC baseball. Let me knock out a quick break. It was a giant recruiting weekend for LSU. The number one player in the country, Bryce Underwood, was in town from Michigan, and LSU did land a commit as well this weekend from a linebacker out of the Houston area. I want to talk about him. We'll get to that next on AFR.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Clegg's Nursery with 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. You know where to find them. And y'all, man, I was driving out of my neighborhood this week, and the azaleas that are planted alongside the entrance there were blooming. Spring is here, y'all. And every single day, Clegg's is getting new shipments at their greenhouses. So get by any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. If you're interested in what type of shipments, what types of flowers or plants they have over at Clegg's, you can check their Facebook page because they update it darn near daily. The other thing I want to remind you is, I know we keep saying this, but with spring here, you want to make sure you treat your lawn before the weeds start to sprout. That's now. You want to treat your lawn now to kill weeds. Clegg's has all of the products. So get by any of the 4 locations in the greater Baton Rouge area. If you're not sure what to get, just ask somebody. They're so helpful. Buy local, shop local. Tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Bayou Ford has the new inventory to get you in a new Ford truck or SUV today, or customize your next vehicle just the way you want. All new Bayou Ford vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty. The crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Happy 311 Day to all those who celebrate. Hey, Muse, Paulie, 311's a band. Really popular band, made a ton of music over 30 years, sold a lot of records, super famous, just so you know.
I've heard of them now.
super famous. I mean, well, the super famous bands I've heard of, I've never heard of them.
Well, that's a you problem.
Huh?
All right. Talk to Dellucci. You're a little more than 20 minutes from right now. You're going to get a lot of hate, by the way. You throw out those jabs. You throwing strays at 311, bro. People will come after you, dog.
All right. I mean,
if
it happened once already.
With Muse throwing strays at 311, tweet me, text me, and we'll get that on the air. We need a DDT Muse right into the Stone Age. That's what we need to do. We'll do. All right, it's after further review. LSU had their junior day over the weekend. Big recruiting weekend. Bryce Underwood, the number one player in the country, was here. He was did an interview with the D Zone. Muse, what the hell is the D Zone?
Brother, I have no idea.
Thank God I'm not doing a show with T-Bob, because if T-Bob saw the D Zone, you know exactly where this would deteriorate.
I do. It's a blog / sports page out of Detroit.
Well, we're all about attribution, so the D Zone credited here with this Bryce Underwood interview, his latest visit to LSU.
Definitely. I enjoyed it a lot. Got to enjoy a lot of the top players around the country, just, recruiting them as well as me being there, so it was fun.
Bryce, not a man of many words, was also asked by the D Zone what he and the 25 class want to build here with the number one class in the country.
I say endless work and also building a brotherhood, just being the best us we can be as well. So,
Bryce Underwood, we all hope. Paulie, you can keep throwing up those graphics, brother, but the cuts are like 4 seconds. By the time you get the graphic up, it's going to be over. Maybe just go back screen with it or something. Here was one more from Bryce Underwood on what Jaden Daniels winning a Heisman means for him.
Yeah, they develop quarterbacks pretty well, and, they just get people where they want to be at. So,
Bryce Underwood on the D Zone. But most importantly, I don't care if that guy gives you 5-second or 5-minute answers. He's a great player. He's committed to LSU. His family has accompanied him on many visits. They're all in. And it's a phenomenal job by Joe Sloan and Brian Kelly getting that done as sort of the crown jewel of this amazing class. A class which added another piece over the weekend. 4-star linebacker Charles Ross out of the Houston area committed to LSU. I loved this quote and I believe this was from On 3. It was. Charles Ross talked about Blake Baker. As soon as Blake Baker got the LSU job, offered him and prioritized him, Ross, who's now committed to LSU, said, quote, Coach Baker has been an inspiration. We communicate on a regular basis. Our relationship has grown from him being a recruiter to him becoming a mentor to me. Yeah, and that's Charles Ross talking about Blake Baker. Last week when Shea was here, he told us watch out for a couple possible commits coming out of the junior day. He mentioned James Simon, the running back out of Calvary Baptist. He mentioned Micah DeBose, the offensive lineman out of the Mobile area. And they ultimately pop a linebacker. It's not to say they won't get those other guys as well, but they pop a linebacker. If you look at Charles Ross, the profile, just when you look at like the rankings and all that stuff, that's probably not the thing that's going to pop the most or be most impressive. He is a 4-star out of the Houston area, and he's ranked or rated, I should say, by On 3 as the number 338 overall prospect in the country. Forgive me, that's in the composite. On 3 has him as the 263rd best prospect in the country, the 27th linebacker in the country. So, yeah, when you're talking about a recruiting class that's got all these guys in it that are number one at their position and they're 5 stars, it may be tough to get super excited about a player that's ranked outside of the top 250. But that's one of those instances where I would always caution you not to marry yourself to the star ranking, and then start to look at the player and, more importantly, the position and if you trust the coach's evaluation at that position. For example, when it comes to LSU offering and signing offensive linemen, they have the benefit of the doubt, just carte blanche, because of Brian Kelly's success at recruiting and identifying offensive lineman development and getting them to the next level. Whenever LSU signs an offensive lineman, if Brian Kelly says he's worth offering, I'm on board. Whatever. I'm good. Linebacker is interesting because Blake Baker has a history at each of his last 4 stops at developing that position. Jalen Ferguson, Blake Baker, you might remember, was at Louisiana Tech. And Jalen Ferguson, who LSU played Tech that year, Ferguson led the country in sacks. That was Blake Baker's defense. At Miami, he had Michael Pinckney and Shaq Quarterman. While he was at Miami, both became first-team All-ACC linebackers. We talked about, of course, Damone Clark in his year at LSU. And then at Missouri, Tyron Hopper, who was first-team All-SEC this past year as well. So Blake Baker's had that history of developing linebackers. So I kind of look and go, okay, if Blake Baker's sold on Charles Ross, I don't care that he's not a 5-star number 1 linebacker in the country. He's a kid from Houston, which is a hot recruiting bed for LSU. They identified him, they made him a priority, and they popped the commitment. So check, check, check. And when you look at the linebacker position, it's going to be so fascinating to watch this play out because, oddly, LSU has numbers at linebacker. What they don't really have is great experience in depth. So for 2024, you've got Greg Penn coming back, and obviously Harold Perkins is moving back inside, and you've got Whit Weeks, who everybody's very excited about, and you've still got West Weeks as well. So those are like your top 4. Christian Braithwaite was a freshman this past season. And then you've got 3 freshmen coming in with Tylen Singleton, who was the 2nd highest rated prospect in this class for LSU, Kalaj Cobbins out of Destrehan, Devon Keys as well. So you're adding 3 freshman linebackers. So you think of it, after your first 4 guys, and one of those is West Weeks, who hasn't played a ton, and Perkins, who we're still not sure if he can be an inside backer. After that, you've got Braithwaite, Singleton, Cobbins, Keys. That's 4 guys, but that don't have any experience. So after this season, when you're likely losing Penn and Perkins, it's going to come down to, you'll have West Weeks and Whit Weeks back, and then a whole bunch of really young bodies there. So which of the guys I just mentioned, Braithwaite, Singleton, Cobbins, Keys, which of those develop in 2024 to feel like they can win a starting job in 2025? Or are you going into the transfer portal to find a starting caliber linebacker for the 2025 season to give some of these young guys even more time to grow and develop, which sounds like a probable situation. But it's going to be fascinating to watch this year to see of those young guys, all those bodies, not that dissimilar from the cornerback room. Like you have a ton of numbers. It's just who is going to emerge as a starter and key contributor. You're looking at the same thing at linebacker, and 4-star Charles Ross will join that room for 2025. Okay, it's after further review. Muse will have Tigers and the Pros to wrap up hour number 2 when we come back. We'll talk some SEC baseball with Luch in about 15 minutes. We're glad you're here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time, or you don't pay a dime. Y'all give them a buzz, 752-0001, 752-0001, or online at onehourbr.com. Spell it out, O-N-E, onehourbr.com. Okay, y'all, it's that time. It is time to get your preseason AC tune-up. If you haven't done it yet, call River City's 1 Hour Air. I love this 5-star review from Barbara Odom, who said, Jason is honest, and I depend on him as an elderly senior citizen to keep my AC and heating working well. Another 5-star review for River City's 1 Hour Air. If you're having issues with your AC, call River City's 1 Hour Air. Before we get into the triple-digit temps, let me stress how important this is. Get your preseason AC tune-up and inspection. Make sure that thing is running efficiently and safely for all the coming warm weather so it will be reliable during these warm weather months. River City's 1 Hour Air.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
IU Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $17,500 off new 23 1500 Bighorn trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $17,500 off new Ram 1500 trucks. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade. Time just slips away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me. Like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps are held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, hardy plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Takes me back to my sophomore year at LSU. Circa 2001, not mistaken.
All right, there we go.
You wouldn't believe.
Memories here.
Jammed this many times driving across BR on a park over there at the vet school right at the park a lot. People would always complain, there's nowhere to park on campus. Yeah, there is, you lazy bums. You just don't want to walk.
There's still nowhere to park on campus.
There's tons of places to park on campus. It's just people are lazy and don't want to walk. So they do the thing where they just follow you up and down the aisle. Like when you're walking out of class, they're just following. Because it's like, by the way, in the 30 minutes you spent just creeping up and down the aisle, waiting for somebody to leave and get their spot, you could have parked 5 minutes down the road and walked your ass.
They also have, quite literally removed parking and put buildings there recently. But yes, I mean...
You've removed parking and put buildings.
I mean, I don't even care. I graduated college almost 6 years ago now. I don't care.
I graduated college 20 years ago.
Well, yeah, I mean, you were just talking about your sophomore year listening to this song in 2001.
People older than me can empathize. It's the thing that happens in life where you start to realize, even though you don't feel old and you're not old, you start to say things out loud like, I graduated college 20 years ago, and you go, that's been a minute. Okay, Muso, Tigers in the pros.
Tigers in the pros. They still bleed purple and gold. They're just really rich now.
All right. Got some news here. Legal tampering period. Lloyd Cushenberry. He is now a member of the Tennessee Titans.
Okay.
That deal signed and official today. Terms not immediately disclosed, but former third-round pick, of course, of the Broncos, played a lot, started all 17 games in 2023. Did deal with some injuries in 2022, but was also on the field as a rookie, man. 16 of 17 games as a rookie. So it's been a really impressive, really successful career so far for Cush, and now he will take that to Nashville. Keep an eye on Patrick Queen over the next few days. He's been linked already today to multiple teams, the Cowboys, the Seahawks, or even reports of a deal with the Seahawks. Those turned out to not be credible, and as well as the Panthers as well. Could Patrick Queen be coming to the NFC South? That's something we'll watch the rest of the week here. Nas Reed's going to get plenty of playing time now with the injury to Karl Anthony Towns. Was already thought to be a strong candidate for Sixth Man of the Year. Now into that starting lineup. Played 42 minutes last night, 25 points, shot 50% from three.
He started 4 of 5 from 3. And I was watching the game last night. It was the late game on ESPN. He's phenomenal.
He is.
He's an alien.
I would love to see him win Sixth Man of the Year. I think that'd be awesome. He also notched 5 rebounds in that game. The Timberwolves lost to the Lakers.
Should have stayed.
Cam Thomas made his return for the Brooklyn Nets a couple games ago and turned in a really nice outing last night. 29 points for Cam, 9 of 19. He shot 5 of 7 from 3. The former Tigers were lighting it up from 3-point range last night. 7 boards and 5 assists. So really stuffing the stat sheet there. How about plus 27 in a start there for Cam Thomas? And one filthy and one. Did you show the and one already?
There it was. Boom.
So good. I mean, he's just awesome. The guy's always going to get his shots up. Josh Smith is 1 for 3 with the dog. That's Tigers in the pros.
Oh, that was Tigers in the pros?
Yeah, I mean, we're coming up on 15 seconds.
Presented by Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020, 924-2020, or WilliamsonEye.com. Getting on a plane tomorrow, going to New York. You know what's not coming with me? Contacts, contact solution, contact case, glasses, all that stuff. Don't need them. Just wake up in the morning and see. It's a beautiful thing. Call the Williamson Eye Center, 924-2020 or WilliamsonEye.com.
AFR.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial properties. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our #1 product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Christine Lisi. The NFL's legal tampering period kicked off with a bang today. Falcons finally solved their quarterback issues. They've got to deal with Kirk Cousins. 4 years, $180 million, $100 million guaranteed. He joins an offense that has several first-round draft picks. Running back Saquon Barkley staying in the NFC East, moving from the Giants to the Eagles. 3 years, $37 million. Freddie and Harry co-host, Harry Douglas.
When players leave their team that drafted them and they had those expectations of potentially winning the championship there, they aren't able to do that, and then you are able to go to the divisional rival, Saquon going to be ready, man. And I can't wait to see it. But I think this is going to allow this offense to have an identity and us not question what it is.
The Eagles also signing defensive end Bryce Huff, 3 years, $51 million, and left guard Landon Dickerson, 4 years, $87 million. Raiders agreed with quarterback Gardner Minshew, 2 years, $25 million. He'll compete with Aiden O'Connell. Running back Josh Jacobs signing with the Packers, 4 years, $48 million, and releasing Aaron Jones. Green Bay also signing safety Xavier McKinney, 4 years, $68 million.
ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. At Progressive, they're making things even easier. They'll help you bundle your home and car insurance together so you can save on both. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge Studios.
That's right.
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. AFR, presented by Relief Windows. I'm Matt.
Love you, Matt.
Paul O'Neill.
They're chanting Paul O'Neill's name.
And Mr. Toby Tomplin. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. By the way, happy 3/11 Day to all those who celebrate. We got, we've covered a lot of ground today, and we will get back here in about 15 minutes to a couple of Saints stories. They got a free agent visitor, Avonte Maddox, who's coming in a cornerback, and they're going to welcome in a defensive lineman that might be targeting the draft. We'll get to that. David Dellucci joins us as he does Mondays here throughout the college baseball season. Talk a little LSU and SEC. Luch, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. Getting ready for conference. We're a couple days away, and then the mad dash for the finish line starts. So it's been an awesome season so far.
Are you a 311 fan?
They only have one good song that a lot of people. You're talking about the band, right?
Of course, yes.
Amber is probably, I like that song, but what is it? Beautiful Disaster?
Beautiful
That's my
Disasters.
favorite song. Yeah.
So you are a fan?
I'm a fan, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I like it.
Well, see, you said they only have one. When you said they only have one song, I thought you were going to say it was the only song that you liked. But no, yeah, they're amazing. Beautiful Disaster is great. They got a lot of great stuff. But yes, Amber is like the song that most people only know, which is crazy. Muse and Pauly here, they never even heard of the band before. Like, it's insane. Not that they didn't they didn't even know 311 was a band, which just blows my mind.
The crazy thing is the lead singer, last time I saw him, he still looks like he's 28 years old, man. The guy never ages.
Good for him. That is not the case for me. I look a lot different than I did when I was listening to 311 back in the 90s and 2000s. Hey, Luch, let's talk about the weekend. And we'll start with LSU. Tigers take 2 out of 3. How level of concern with the LSU offense after having a really good day Saturday, but struggling, quite honestly, Friday and Sunday?
It just happens, right? I mean, I went back and looked at the schedule from last year at this point and compared them to the current team. Last year they were 15-1. This year they're 14-2. So they only have one more loss. Last year they scored double-digit runs 10 times. This year they scored double-digit runs 6 times. So obviously there's a difference in the offensive production, but remember that team last year that this current team constantly gets compared to, their players were veterans. They knew where they were playing. You weren't shuffling guys around. You didn't have new guys coming in. And really all that matters is winning ball games and finding ways to win. Now, the bats haven't broken out yet, but I believe that they will. I'm just so pleased with the pitching that I think you can overlook some days like Sunday where they only score 1 run. Division I baseball is competitive. It's more competitive than it's ever been. So it was kind of an ugly weekend, to be honest with you, throughout the SEC. And some of that could have been teams that were looking forward to conference play. The other thing, sometimes you just have to tip your hat to a team that's got good pitching for that day, and one loss isn't going to kill you.
When you mentioned LSU's pitching staff, let me isolate Thatcher Hurd, because we've talked about Holman and Jumpin, why they're so good, but Hurd the last 2 weeks seems to have kind of figured it out and reverted to form from late a year ago. Anything you noticed differently with Thatcher Hurd?
What I really liked about Sunday's outing was he had 9 strikeouts, which we know he's capable of racking up strikeouts in the double-digit range per outing, but he only had 1 walk and 1 unearned run. So I like the consistency that he's starting to show. And if that's your number 3 guy and your number 1 and number 2 continue to pitch the way they are, you've got to feel good about sweeping series. And the goal in the SEC is to win 2 out of 3. That's what you're shooting for. And a sweep is a bonus. I think LSU's pitching staff right now has the ability to have some sweeps during conference play. And let's not count out. Let's go back to the midweek game where you got a youngster, Cade Anderson, who may end up pitching his way somewhere into a weekend spot. It may be a Thatcher Hurd, Cade Anderson duo at some point during the course of the year. So I like where Thatcher Hurd is. I really like where the starting rotation is.
It's going to carry him a long way, man. That much almost goes without saying at this point. David Dellucci is our guest. LSU is going to play Mississippi State this weekend. It's a state team that scuffled out of the gate, Luch, but it seems like they might be rounding into form a bit. How much or what specifically progress have you seen from State from week 1 to where they are now heading into conference play?
Yeah, so their pitching has definitely gotten a lot better, especially compared to last year. Pitching and defense really hurt them. They had great offensive production last year. This year, not so much on the offensive side. When you look at a team coming in, if you're the coaching staff and the players, you circle the guys that you don't want to beat you. And right now for State, it's Dakota Jordan. He's hitting .414. He's got 8 home runs. No other hitter in the State lineup has more than 1 home run. So you got to shut that guy down. Their starter, their game 1 starter on the mound, Nate Dome, has pitched really, really well. But he came out of this last outing shaking his arm. Chris Lamona says there's nothing to worry about, but you kind of got to keep an eye on him. Gerangelo Sainja is going to be the game 3 starter. He's got back-to-back 10 strikeout outings. Interesting guy. He's ambidextrous. Can throw both arms. and is really having a career year this year. He's got 3 wins as well. And their middle guy, Cal Stevens, has been pitching really well. So the starting pitching for Mississippi State is completely different than what they were last year. But I just think they don't have the offense to hang with LSU over a 3-game series.
Luch, we also saw Florida stub their toe a little bit this weekend. Where's your concern meter on Florida right now heading into conference play?
Well, it's as far as the pitching, Florida's going to hit Colby Shelton, Caglione. I mean, that is as powerful as a lineup as you can have. The pitching staff preseason, everybody thought was going to pick up where they left off last year. They didn't. And ironically, Jack Caglione was the most inconsistent pitcher last year, has been the most consistent pitcher this year, and that's their Game 3 guy. They got a little ways to go. And losing their midweek game and then losing a game to St. Mary's and having to play Florida State midweek is going to tax them a little bit. And then you could possibly start conference play with an A&M team that may be 17-0 if they beat Sam Houston over the midweek, coming in full throttle with one of the best pitching staffs in the nation. Florida's got to figure it out, and they got to figure it out really fast.
Is A&M for real?
A&M is for real. If they can stay healthy, their pitching staff has just been dominant, and it's not a whole lot of walks. I mean, that's what they're going after, is pounding the strike zone. Definitely have good hitters in the lineup, but I mean, look, man, they toe the rubber and get after it. And tell you, some live arms, some guys that can throw in the upper 90s, 97, 98, and then their bullpen does not slack once you go into that bullpen. It actually kind of gets stronger when you have guys come in like Aschenbeck, and it's an impressive duo. Cortez has a live arm. It's a big-time team.
He's on Twitter at David Dellucci. If you want to give him a follow, talk a little SEC baseball with Luch here on Mondays. Which SEC opening weekend series, Luch, are you most either excited or interested to see how it might transpire?
I like the A&M Florida. I really like the Tennessee-Bama series because Tennessee's rolling. Alabama, up until Sunday, had 12 consecutive games with home runs. They are just murdering the baseball. A very good pitching staff. We thought Alabama was going to pitch better than they hit. Right now, they're leading the SEC team average 345, and Tennessee has been steamrolling just about everybody. They have a starting pitcher named A.J. Causey to keep an eye out for. He's been dominant. I just think you've got 2 high-powered teams that are playing really, really well. And it was pretty much they put up football scores over the course of the weekend. So that's probably the highlight of the weekend.
One more, Arkansas went up to number 1 in the country. They're going to get Mizzou here on the opening weekend. So I hate to say any weekend in the SEC is a breather, but I guess it's a relative breather. What about the Hogs? Starting pitching obviously has been great, but what about the Hogs has been most impressive here to start the season?
Well, I think Hagen Smith was coming in as one of the top pitchers in the country, and he's done nothing but solidify that. Ben McLaughlin on offense has been really good. They just got Louisiana product Peyton Stovall back from a broken foot. Sunday he went 2 for 5. Mason Molina is their Game 3 starter. Got roughed up a little bit this past Sunday, but he's very good. And then Brady Tygart. That's why they're ranked so high, is because the pitching staff is so good. That number 1 and number 2 combination is really strong. The big question mark on them is, are they going to hit enough to go through the SEC? Missouri is going to give them an opportunity to score a bunch of runs and get confidence. That's a team that is definitely rebuilding. So I think Arkansas is sitting pretty, but they're going to have to hit a lot better to compete.
He is David Dellucci on Twitter at David Dellucci. Good enough to join us here Mondays, talk a little SEC baseball. Luch, excited, man. Next Monday when we're talking, we'll have a full weekend of conference play under our belt, man. We'll know a lot more. We're looking forward to it. Thanks as always for the time.
Yes, man. Thanks for having me.
Be well. That is David Dellucci. This is After Further Review, brought to you by our friends over at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com. For Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, if you are thinking about popping the question, gentlemen, you can trust our friends over at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where you always get the Lee Michaels experience. I say that, and I don't want that just to be a throwaway line. I want you to understand what that means. When you're going to buy a diamond, it's a massive purchase. for many of us, it'll be the most important purchase we ever make. I mean, you're buying a diamond to propose to the woman that you want to be your wife and you're going to spend your life with. The experience of buying that diamond needs to matter. You need to walk in the door feeling like you're doing something important. You don't need someone to pull out a calculator and start crunching numbers showing you how much money you're going to save. You want to have that experience to where you'll have a story to tell forever and let that diamond tell a story as well. Your love for her that you pass on to family members and future generations. Lee Michaels does a brilliant job of creating that feeling, that Lee Michaels experience that they call it. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. 2 locations in Baton Rouge, Lafayette, New Orleans, Shreveport, Mississippi, and Texas locations as well, as a matter of fact, where you're always going to get a beautiful diamond at a great price, and always the Lee Michaels experience. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, we appreciate Luch for joining us. We'll knock out our first break here of the hour. Monday show is brought to you by Relief Windows. When we come back, we are going to reset the day as far as your free agency and the legal tampering period. If you haven't heard yet, Kirk Cousins is going to be an Atlanta Falcon. Baker Mayfield is re-signing with Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the quarterbacks in the NFC South are set for 2024. But we'll reset a lot of that coming up here in just a little bit. When we come back, though, the Saints are going to welcome in a free agent cornerback, and they're welcoming in a defensive line, a draft prospect, a little bit off the radar guy who could be one worth keeping an eye on. We'll get to all that when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
When it comes to ending cancer, we push forward, always working together for you. That's why our cancer experts at Ochsner have clinically integrated with MD Anderson Cancer Center. This means advanced cancer care, including access to life-saving clinical trials and integrating care to treat the whole you. Introducing Ochsner MD Anderson Cancer Center. Long live you.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Remember, you can always text the show, 225-396-4400, 396-4400. Ty Fly said, I'm surprised Musso doesn't know about 311. Half of their songs are about weed.
Well, Ty, there's actually a really good reason that I wouldn't know about that, but, you know, can't really go there. Got to keep the bit alive.
The little bit of weed that you smoke every day?
No. Not that bit.
Alex Russell, as your resident stoner, how does Ed Musso Matthew not know about 311?
Yeah, well, you know.
Inquiring minds want to know.
The answers are right at your fingertips, Alex. They're right there.
Steve Lumine, please tell Muse to Love Song at some point, class of 311. 311 song.
Okay.
I think he meant to play Love Song.
Love Song?
You might recognize them.
Okay.
Andrew Watson, Musso would have heard of them if they were called 420.
Okay, see, that's a good one. That one? That was a good one. Who did that one?
Andrew Watson.
Andrew, good job.
Yep, got it. Dwayne Deschatel. They smoke a lot of weed at 311 concerts. Figured Muse should be all in on 311.
Nah. That's really weird. This doesn't sound like what I would, really envision as stoner music, but okay.
What would you envision as stoner music?
I knew you were going to ask that, and I actually don't have a good answer.
Matty Ice said, dude gets every pop culture trivia question wrong. He doesn't have a leg to stand on. Kind of true. Kind of true.
All right.
Did you just scroll it back?
I thought you were going to read more. I didn't want to let it die.
That actually been a good dismount. Anyway.
Well.
All right. Yeah, we only got a couple more segments, Muse, and there's still a lot. You haven't played All Mixed Up.
I did. That was the first song I played. All Mixed Up.
We played All Mixed Up. Misdirected Hostility. I know you haven't
we didn't
played.
do that.
Someone requested Love Song, which I think you'll recognize. Love
Song.
We'll
do Love Song coming back. We haven't done Beautiful Disaster.
You haven't done Beautiful Disaster, which Luch said.
That's what I was going to do next, but we'll do Love Song for that guy.
Someone else said one. I can't remember. Anyway, there's a bajillion of them. Hey, we got some breaking news here as the NFL legal tampering period is going on. Per Adam Schefter, Saints linebacker Zach Bond is no longer going to be Saints linebacker Zach Bond. Per Schefter, Saints free agent linebacker Zach Bond plans to sign a one-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles, per source. So Zach Bond out in New Orleans, of course, the former third-round draft pick out of Wisconsin. This is one of the more perplexing ones. When you look at his time in New Orleans, 4 seasons as a Saint. And he came in out of Wisconsin. If you remember, he was a guy who was a really good pass rusher at Wisconsin. That was his MO. And a lot of mock drafts leading up to that draft in 2020 had Bond as a first-round pick. Well, he went to the Combine. If I'm not mistaken, it was at the Combine that he failed a drug test and get a dilute sample. And it dropped him in the draft, and he ended up falling all the way into round 3, where the Saints took him at pick number 74. And the thought was, man, you got to steal this guy who's a really good edge rusher who many thought could sneak into round 1. You end up getting him in round 3 because he had a dilute sample at the combine. And it just never materialized. He, as a rookie, had just 7 tackles playing mostly on special teams. It wasn't until this year that we actually saw them use him a bit as a pass rush specialist, and he ended up with 2 sacks this year. But the crazy thing is those 2 sacks Zach Bond got in 2023 were the first 2 sacks of his career. He was shut out, for bagel, donut, the first 3 years of his career. No sacks until this year. So maybe Philly, maybe a change of scenery, maybe a different defense will make sense for Bond. It's just so interesting to me because the Saints have always, when you look at defensively, the type of player physically that the Saints have used to come off the edge, it's generally a bigger player, like Cam Jordan and Trey Hendrickson. And look at the guys they've drafted, Peyton Turner and Marcus Davenport. Bond's 225 pounds. He's a 3-4 outside linebacker, whereas the Saints have more come off the edge with true 4-3 ends. So it was an odd fit from the beginning, and they never really figured out how to maximize Zach Bond, try to play him a little bit on the inside. That didn't work. Kind of one of the concerns we have when we talk about Harold Perkins at LSU, right? It's a similar comp there. He's not an inside backer, and he was kind of in the wrong defense for what he wanted. So that's a guy I wouldn't be surprised if he went to the right spot and was able to maximize his ability, just wasn't in New Orleans. So Zach Bond on his way out. The Saints are welcoming a couple of visitors this week. And because we're talking about edge rushers, I guess it's worth bringing this one up first. Marshawn Nealand is a defensive lineman out of Western Michigan. And this one fascinates me for one very obvious reason. So Marshawn Nealand went to the Senior Bowl and showed out in a big way at the Senior Bowl. Had a great week at the Senior Bowl. But on top of that, it wasn't just his performance on the field. It was his relative athletic score. Oh, yes. If you're a Saints fan, you know all about the relative athletic score. The relative athletic score is the measure that has led the Saints to draft guys like Marcus Davenport and Peyton Turner. Basically, you got a relative athletic score, the Saints are interested. And by the way, Marshawn Nealand has a relative athletic score of 9.54. That's out of 10. That would rank him, if you went back and looked at every defensive tackle from 1987 to the present day, that's 1,620 defensive tackles. That would rank him number 75. Since 1987. Oh, he's a wet dream for the Saints front office. With a relative athletic score of 9.54, small school guy that went to the Senior Bowl and performed really well, huge relative athletic score. Oh, yes. This is Marcus Davenport. This is Peyton Turner. This is who the Saints are bringing in to visit. Ran a 4.75 in the 40. He had the fastest 20-yard shuttle of any defensive lineman at the combine at 4.18 seconds. Oh, yes. Mark this one down, y'all. Marshawn Nealand out of Western Michigan. And by the way, just look at him physically. He's listed at 6'3", 267 pounds. We just talked about how the Saints like big ends, right? Trey Hendrickson was 6'4", 270. Cam Jordan, 6'4", 287. Here you have a guy that's 6'3", 267. So in that mold of a Trey Hendrickson, of a Cameron Jordan, what they like. So, you get your top 30 visits if you're an NFL team, and they're using one here on Marshawn Nealand out of Western Michigan. The Saints need an edge rusher. I mean, you've got Cam Jordan, who's coming off the least productive season he's had since his rookie year. He had 2 sacks. You've got Carl Granderson, but after that, Isaiah Foskey, who certainly had a disappointing rookie year. Tano Passanio, who's more of a rotational guy. You need an option there. And if you end up going offensive line, as I hope they do, at 14 overall, what are you looking at doing in round 2? Are you looking edge rusher again like you did last year with Isaiah Foskey? Or are you looking later in the draft? You don't have a 3rd or 4th round pick, but you got a handful of 5th round picks, 4 5th round picks. Could you move up to get a player potentially like Neeland, if in fact he's there? By the way, it's spelled Kneeland for those who are interested. Neeland, like a knee, like your knee. Kneeland. Just another play. Look, if you're serious enough about a player to fly them into your facility and spend a day with them, you're serious about them, about potentially drafting them. So we'll see if that ends up being someone the Saints pull the trigger on. But, boy, you saw that relative athletic score pop. You know the Saints are just salivating over the opportunity to draft the next small school show. Look, Trey Hendrickson proved for them they can hit with that model. Unfortunately, he was his 3rd-round pick. The 1st-round picks you used on Peyton Turner and Marcus Davenport went belly up. All right, it's after further review. Thanks for being here with us. Monday shows. Love telling you about Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Windows, door siding, Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. Oh, yeah. They do indoor shutters as well. It's Relief Windows and ReliefWindows.com. They're just the best. You call some other roofing company or some other window company, I ask them, call some other window company. Ask them about their service department. Ask them if they have a dedicated service department, or is it just chuck in a truck and get to it when we can? Ask about the warranty. I guarantee you there's no other window company you will call that offers a lifetime transferable warranty on labor, material, and glass breakage. That's Relief Windows. Windows, door siding, and indoor shutters as well. ReliefWindows.com. All right, y'all, it's after further review. You want to work in a text, an email, a tweet, good time to do it. We have not yet talked about the Pels, who 3-0 on this road swing. They won in Atlanta yesterday. Fun game to watch. I should say the Skeletons won in Atlanta yesterday. Haven't got to talk about Matt McMahon and his squad either, who won a home game against Missouri. That was way more tenuous than it needed to be. We'll get to some of that. Remember, if you miss anything from the show, AFR On Demand presented by Breck Golf. Book your tee time at golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org. Just search After Further Review on your favorite podcast app or the After Further Review YouTube channel. We're not going to quick break. Stay here. It's AFR.
AFR.
Y'all, they got crawfish over at Rouse's, and you're starting to see the prices come down, both live and boiled. And that's exciting. No, around Easter time, a lot of people love to do crawfish boils. Look, we love to do crawfish boils in the spring no matter what. But especially around Easter, it's great that we're starting to see the prices come down a little bit, and expected to keep dropping even further at all the Rouse's locations. Remember, when you go to Rouse's, their crawfish there, those are in-house boiling rooms. It's not like they get done off-site somewhere and then they bring them in. No. Every Rouse's location has its own in-house boiling room. So the boiled crawfish, the boiled shrimp, everything, the boiled corn and potatoes, everything is done there in-house at Rouse's in their in-house boiling room. So it's fresh every single day, hot and fresh every single day at every Rouse's location. Nearly 70 locations from Lake Charles all the way to Orange Beach, Alabama, and points in between. It's Rouse's. The official supermarket of the New Orleans Saints, Rouse's.com. Rouse's, this feels like home.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Value Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram is taking $17,500 off new 23 1500 Bighorn trucks. We're open for business in our beautiful new showroom and taking $17,500 off new Ram 1500 trucks. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile warranty. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Yo, Jake here from my friends over at Community Steel Company located in Gonzales, Louisiana. The local place you can turn to for all of your metal building needs. Notice I said local, not Houston, not Dallas, not Atlanta, but right here in Gonzales. Visit them at their brand new state-of-the-art website at communitysteelco.com or pick up the phone and give them a call today to answer all of your questions on your metal buildings, roofing and sheet metal, and any other steel needs you or your business need at 225-647-2020.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows, windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Biggest news from NFL free agency, the legal tampering period today. In case you're just joining us, haven't heard, Kirk Cousins is going to be an Atlanta Falcon. So Cousins to the Falcons. Baker Mayfield extends with Tampa Bay. Posted this on Twitter earlier today. And it's pretty much a consensus that everyone who felt a year ago that the Saints had the best quarterback in a bad division now feels like the Saints have the third best quarterback in what might still be a bad division. The legal tampering period going on of significance, certainly with LSU guys. How about Lloyd Cushenberry? I feel really good for Lloyd. If you hadn't heard, we're starting to see the details of his deal. Cushenberry was drafted in that 2020 draft, the center from Dutchtown, played at LSU, of course, national champion, was drafted by Denver. Lloyd Cushenberry signed a deal with the Tennessee Titans, $50 million over 4 years, $26 million fully guaranteed at signing, with $30 million total guaranteed. He will be the third highest paid center in the NFL at $12.5 million average per year. Awesome. And also, they note, Pro Football Focus notes, Brad Spielberg, that the $30 million in cash flow over 2 years, that's the most ever for a center. So congrats to Lloyd Cushenberry. And it's one of the great stories, too, because as we all remember Lloyd Cushenberry's signing day story, he was a guy from Dutchtown nearby who didn't know until signing day if he was going to have a spot in LSU's class. So they told him to wait. As it turned out, he did. He was like quite literally the last guy in the class and came to LSU and waited his turn. And it sure looked like he wasn't going to get that opportunity. He had to go into that spring in 2018 and win a job. And boy, they sure tried to make sure he didn't. They gave him plenty of competition for it, but Cushenberry played great in the spring. He won the job in the fall, ended up being a 2-year starter, and as we see now, going to be one of the highest paid centers in the NFL. So congrats to Lloyd Cushenberry. That's a great success story. The other bit of news that's kind of breaking right now, just as we were going to break, this is significant also significant for the NFC South. The Panthers are trading Brian Burns. So they had franchise tagged Brian Burns this year, but now they're going to trade him instead to the New York Giants. So we don't know the terms of the deal yet, but Schefter reporting that the the Panthers are trading Brian Burns to the Giants. So another big-time pass rusher out of the NFC South, so that's certainly significant. So for those that aren't familiar, we talk about the legal tampering period. The free agency doesn't begin for a couple of more days, but what the NFL it started several years ago was this period in the couple of days leading up to the start of the free agent window, the start of the NFL league year, whereby teams could negotiate with players in this time. So once the league year began, it wasn't just this mad dash. They've had these 2 days to kind of get things going in an order for the start of the league year, which is coming up in a couple of days. So anyway, Brian Burns being traded from Carolina to the Giants. Okay, it's after further review. There's a couple of things I still want to get to. We'll get to auto locks here shortly. We didn't have a chance yet to talk about the LSU men's team. Congrats to Matt McMahon and the Tigers. If you didn't watch the game on Saturday evening, I don't blame you. I mean, Missouri's a terrible basketball team. They finish 0-18 in the conference, but this is less about Missouri, and it's not even about how the game ended. If you didn't watch, LSU was trailing at halftime, and as a matter of fact, Missouri extended their lead to double digits into the second half. And then with about 10 minutes to go, as our guest who covers Mizzou said last week, he's like, there's a Missouri team that plays pretty well, and usually in the last 10 minutes they unravel. And sure enough, LSU rallied. They took a double-digit lead. And LSU should have coasted to the finish line, but Missouri made it interesting, and LSU certainly helped them get there. And Tigers end up winning by 4, 84-80. But all that is inconsequential. And the fact that LSU's net ranking is 90 is inconsequential. This is a basketball team that showed tremendous progress, not only year to year, but in this season. I mean, this was a team that lost the second game of the year to Nichols. They got blown out by Dayton. They got blown up by 23 at Syracuse. They lost by double digits to Kansas State, double digits to Texas. They were bad. And in the midst of things going very badly, they found themselves. And a large part of that was Jalen Cook being eligible, and he's been suspended now. But Trey Hannibal has emerged in that role and has been really good. And this is a team that found its way to 500 in the league. And I think it's worth saying and repeating that I know nobody here is going to do backflips over an NIT berth or going 500 in the SEC. But context matters. You can't just look at this in a vacuum. You have to pull back, take the 10,000-foot view, and realize where they were, not only when Matt McMahon inherited them, but where they were 3 months ago. And the progress they've made is super encouraging. And yes, if you're able to get into the NIT, that's a great step for this team. They were picked 13th in the conference. You won 2 league games a year ago. Your league coaches picked you 13th in the conference this year. And you finished 8th at 500 in league play. So yes, hat tip Matt McMahon and these players, an incredible job to show that progress, to continue getting better. And you can start to see now, if you're a fan of this program, you can start to see the possibility, right? Not that it's there now, but you can believe there's a path to success now with Matt McMahon, who's a really good coach. And once you get players, it's going to build and keep building. So that's encouraging. Look, after the game on Saturday, Matt McMahon talked about finishing this year 500 in SEC play, especially after the way last year went.
I certainly didn't come to LSU to celebrate going 9-9 in the SEC, but success doesn't just happen overnight. And 23 months ago, we didn't have a LSU basketball program. No players, no coaches, no academics, no nothing. And what's happened here, I think credit to our players. They've invested. They've worked extremely hard to make progress and improve the program. I think outside of South Carolina, it's the second most improvement in wins totals in Power 5 basketball as far as league games go. So it's certainly not where we want to be, but it's a step in the right direction, and it's starting to establish a foundation we can build on moving the program forward.
Amen. I think everyone can get in line with that and understand what he's talking about. But with it, and by the way, just if you're curious, the as far as the NIT, the way the NIT changed their auto bids is that the top 2 teams in the net that don't make the NCAA tournament get an auto bid to the NIT. So, for example, you're looking at the SEC right now, A&M's on the bubble, and then it goes Ole Miss, LSU. So what you're really pulling for is for A&M to get into the tournament. If A&M gets into the big dance, then Ole Miss and LSU will get auto bids into the NIT. So that's LSU's clearest path into the NIT. If not, then A&M Ole Miss would be in the NIT, and LSU would have to get in that large bid in the NIT. But we'll see how all that goes. LSU plays Mississippi State on Thursday, noon Central. If they were to win that game, they'd play Tennessee on Friday also at noon Central. All right, we're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. If you're thinking about buying land, you need to call First South Farm Credit. They should be your first call. Your first option for land is First South Farm Credit. First South Farm Credit. Been in business since 1916, y'all. 1916. More than 100 years. First South Farm Credit has been helping Louisianians buy land. You need 20 acres in Zachary to build your dream home? First South Farm Credit. You want 200 acres in Mississippi for hunting or recreational property? First South Farm Credit. You need 1,000 acres for your farm? First South Farm Credit. Go to firstsouthland.com. Have that conversation. firstsouthland.com. All right, y'all. Real quick before we break it to Otterlocks. Despite the money that coaches make, I often say sometimes they're underpaid. How about this out of University of Colorado? They went 4-8 in Deion's first year. But the university saw a 20% increase in applications from last year. 20. A record-breaking 68,000 applications for the fall semester 2024 at the University of Colorado. That includes a 50% increase in applications from Black and African American students and a 25.6% increase from Hispanic and Latino students. As much money as coaches make, they're underpaid. All right, it's after further review. Final break of the show. We'll come back. Jimmy will join us for some Otterlocks, find out what we're betting on tonight. We're looking forward to it. Don't you move. It's AFR.
AFR.
Brought to you by Darren James and Associates, brokered by LPT Realty. My guy Darren was down in Tampa at an LPT conference this past week. Loved following that along, all on social media. And you could just see there is something special cooking with LPT Realty. They've gone from launch to 9,700 realtors in just 1 year and growing by the day. If you're a realtor and you're wondering why so many of your colleagues are making that jump, why so many real estate agents are joining LPT, you need to call Darren James. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com. Yes, so much of it is the collaboration. So much of it is the marketing, but also how commissions are handled through LPT Realty is changing real estate. Learn more. Call Darren James. 335-7666 or agent225.com.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Power up your next project with John Deere Deals by Sunshine. Whether you're working hard or playing hard, our knowledgeable team will help you find the right product for you. Ask us about our amazing tractor package promotions. Learn more about what it means to be powered by Sunshine at sunequip.com.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast office products.
It was a humid day, barefoot children play, looking for that summer shade, time to slip away. Oh, Louisiana, some kind of hold on me, like cypress stumps, your roots are planted deep inside of me.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated.
After further review, presented by Relief Windows. Windows, doors, siding. Oh yeah, they also do interior shutters.
Down the stretch, we come final segment here on a Monday edition of AFR. One thing left to do, find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks, presented by Lofton Staffing Services. At Lofton, we put people to work. Call us today at 924-0200 or go to lofton.jobs.
So we turn to the one and only, the incomparable of an incomprehensible, the Outfather himself, Jimmy Ott. Otter, how are you?
Doing good, Matt. How was your weekend?
Great weekend, man. You had another banger of a day on Saturday. Congrats on that. Can we give our man a ding? Worth it. Had a really fortuitous night betting UFC 299 as well. So
good.
A great weekend, man. Really good.
Yeah, the alternate line in Houston took care of a lot of things on Saturday for sure.
So Otter was, for those that didn't hear, Otter was very, very bullish. I believe the exact thing you text me was, Kansas is about to get their behind whooped, and you were right. That was never a game, and so we played an alternate line with Houston laying 14, and it was a rocking chair. I mean, woo!
Yeah,
Good
Bill
day.
Self wasn't happy with in the handshake, post game handshake.
Well, that makes one of us that wasn't happy,
and that is well, that's just fine. If Tilton Fertitta probably gave Sampson, every time you get Bill Self unhappy, we'll give you a little bonus.
I love it. So good.
Yeah.
So what's this week like, man? I mean, we got conference tournaments going on.
Man,
it's just a little disjointed. Yeah.
Got them on right now, man. They're underway in Lake Charles. Lamar with that had that classic game against McNeese earlier this year. They're up 7 over UNO. All these games are being played in Lake Charles. Double bye till Wednesday for McNeese State in Texas A&M Corpus Christi. We do like the late game, though. Texas A&M Commerce is just really weak link. They somehow finished, in the top 8, so they are eligible for it. 9th and 10th are out. But Nicholls State they got a little firepower to them, man. They got some guys that can shoot 3. We're going to take Nicholls minus the points against in the game that's going to come on after this one, roughly 7:30 in Lake Charles.
All right, Nicholls laying 5. It's 5.5, so we're going to buy it to 5. Nicholls laying
Correct.
5.
Yep.
Right.
Then we're going to look at the this game that's getting ready to come up on ESPN in about 5 minutes. It was all set, and just a matter of App State and James Madison. Problem was Arkansas State upset App State last night, and pretty much gate to wire. Was in control most of the game. App State made a little run at the end, but the Red Wolves won, and they're catching points again, +6, and I think that's just too many. So I'm looking for another close one. Arkansas State trying to wreck the party against James Madison tonight. And then we go to the West Coast Conference. This is at the Orleans Hotel in Las Vegas. And, man, 90% of the tickets are sold to Gonzaga fans. We were writing Gonzaga off, but they went to Rupp, won that one. They went to St. Mary's and won. Also a good win at San Francisco. And they're going to be tough to beat, but that line is just way too much. What we're going to do is go against St. Mary's here. They lost one of their key starters, probably their most athletic player. Santa Clara plus 11 is a lot in this one, so we're going to go with the Broncos, Santa Clara.
Okay, so no look in that San Francisco Gonzaga game?
No.
All right, so we're taking Santa Clara plus 11. I'm looking at
Gonzaga is worth a look to win the tournament.
Okay.
So laying about $1.30 if you're interested in that. So
okay.
Yeah.
Santa Clara plus 11. Do those odds change as the tournament goes along, or do you have to get in before the tournament starts?
No, they surely change as you win. I mean, your odds are. I mean, no, they're going to change. Some sports books will probably take them off. I mean, you'll be down to 2 teams tomorrow, so it's just going to be a game line.
Sure.
But I mean, it's no, it's not. Yeah, there's some others that we're
1
looking
minute
at
remaining.
that like USC in the Pac-12 was very hot. They got all their guys back, so we're going to take a little 30-1 shot on USC to win the Pac-12 tournament.
Okay. All right, Nichols laying 5, Arkansas State plus 6, and Santa Clara plus 11. A 3-pack here for the Otter tonight. Where are you tomorrow?
All right, we're at Doe's Eat Place. Then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at the DraftKings Casino at the Queen Casino. DraftKings Sportsbook at the Queen Casino here in town. Championship week, 3 days in a row with all the afternoon action.
Sounds awesome. All right, Otter, good luck. Thank you.
All right, good luck, man.
All right, that'll do it for us here on a Monday edition of AFR presented by Relief Windows, Windows Door Siding, Relief Windows, and ReliefWindows.com. Hey, I'm out the rest of the week. I'll be up in New York at a conference. Muse will have afternoon drive for the rest of this week, so I look forward to it. Appreciate that. Y'all have a great night. Muse, Paulie, thanks. I'll see you in a week.
AFR.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
He's here. Anyone want a Coors Light?
Oh, shoot, I forgot to play the song. I got a guy who can fix this.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours emergency. The light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagine